After crossing over, the 5 big bosses' sun spoiled me to the skies. The sun was blazing in the capital in September, and the air was filled with a bit of heat and uneasiness. Youyou was wearing a white suspender skirt and stood at the exit of the capital airport with a smile on her face. She was the eldest daughter raised in the countryside by the Liu family in Beijing. A week ago, she had just celebrated her 18th birthday with her grandmother, who depended on her for life, and the Liu family sent someone to take her home. The people of the Liu family wanted to send her and pick her up whenever they wanted. Youyou had originally rejected the Liu family's request. But the old lady wanted her to go back to the capital to go to school, and even threatened to die, so she had to take a plane to the capital today. After a while, Youyou saw a white car parked not far away. She squinted her eyes and took a closer look. It started with A and ended with 66. I thought this should be the car sent by the Liu family to pick her up. So she turned around, picked up her luggage, and walked towards the car. Just as she was about to open the car door, she saw a sturdy man in black clothes, nearly 1.9 meters tall, walk down from the driver's seat and walk around her. 14 looked down at the girl who was not even as tall as her shoulders. She was young and pretty. I don't know if she was ignorant or fearless. She dared to open Mr. Rome's car door. Miss, please leave here immediately. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. You're welcome. CEO Wen has been developing for more than 20 years. Even if the Liu family doesn't like her, there is no need to use this kind of routine to pull her down, right? Youyou raised her eyebrows and reached out to open the door. But 14 quickly grabbed her hand and pulled it out. 14 looked like a tough guy who didn't know how to be gentle with women. When he thought that the slender white arm was about to be broken, the passers-by couldn't help but close their eyes. But until the next second, the imagined tragic scream did not appear. 14's hand was on the girl's wrist, but the girl didn't move at all, with a faint smile on her lips. Then, she pulled her hand out flexibly, quickly grabbed 14's hand, pulled back, lifted up, buckled, and pushed out. You. 14, who was nearly 1.9 meters tall, was pushed 2 steps by a little girl. Before he could react, Youyou had already opened the car door and sat in the car steadily. Please help me get the suitcase in the car before driving. I, a weak little girl, can't lift it. Her face returned to a harmless smile, as if the person who pushed 14 away just now was not her at all. Everyone looked at the girl who was already in the car, then looked at 14 who was pushed away by her, and the unbelievable look on 14's face. Finally, they looked at her huge suitcase. Who believes you can't move it? Weak little girl. Who? You. It was the moment she got in the car that Youyou realized something was wrong. There was someone in the car. She turned her head suddenly and saw the man sitting on the other side of the back row. Ahem. The man coughed twice and turned his head. Youyou immediately ran into those dark eyes, deep and quiet, looking at her calmly. The man was wearing a white shirt, with the collar unbuttoned, revealing his slender and white neck. His hands were naturally placed on his legs, long and thin, white as porcelain, and his nails were trimmed very neatly. In the somewhat claustrophobic carriage, their whole person looked a little sick. Mr. Rome, I'm sorry, I'll drive this woman away immediately. Before Youyou could speak, she saw 14 at the door coming over and trying to attack her again. At this time, a very pleasant voice sounded. 14, stop. Chapter 2, are you going my way? Shizzy, stop. Perhaps because he had just coughed, his voice still carried a slight hoarseness. Youyou instinctively leaned back, letting the sunlight through the car door fall on his face, outlining his delicate features. The man glanced at her indifferently, his gaze shifting to her wrist, where the marks left by Shiz's grip were still visible. Where are you going? Rong Jun asked, his gaze narrowing. Even if she were slow to react, Youyou should have realized that she might have gotten into the wrong car. The man in the car certainly didn't look like the person who was supposed to pick her up. To the Liu family. Lu Weng's house, Youyou answered, then blinked and said slowly, is it on your way? Can you give me a ride? Of course, it's not on the way. Even if it were, there's no way he would give you a ride. Today, the young master is here to pick up the old master, not you. Shizzy thought inwardly. But the next second, to his surprise, the usually indifferent Rong Jun actually murmured a soft millimeter, then turned to him and said, Shizzy, get in. Let's go to the Liu family. Shizzy? What? Did he hear that correctly? The Liu family and the Rong family aren't anywhere near the same route, are they? Thank you, I'll pay for the fare. Hearing his words, Youyou couldn't help but smile. If she had known that there were so many interesting people in the capital, she would have come sooner. Shizzy. Fare. Does it look like Rong Jun is short on money? But the next moment. All right, Rong Jun nodded. His fringe covered his eyes, obscuring his expression, but from his tone, Shizzy could tell that his boss seemed to be in a surprisingly good mood. It would take about 40 minutes to get from the airport to the Liu family. Rong Jun woke up to a burning gaze. When he opened his eyes and turned his head, he lowered his gaze and was met with a pair of exceptionally bright eyes. He had fallen asleep in the presence of someone else. Rong Jun was a little surprised. He suffered from chronic insomnia, and this had been the deepest sleep he had gotten in days. Even the dark circles under his eyes seemed a little lighter. He glanced at the girl in front of him. Her hair was slightly curled, giving her a very obedient appearance. The car's light wasn't very bright, but the sunlight and tree shade outside intersected through the window, casting onto her delicate and fair face, making it seem like she was glowing. Rong Jun thought that he must be imagining things, probably due to his exhaustion from lack of sleep, which was why he stared at her for 3 seconds. When the woman saw that he had woken up, her eyes curved into a smile, and she gave him a big, bright grin. When did the Liu family have a child like this? Rong Jun thought, looking down. She was actually quite cute. Before long, the street became quieter, and the car quickly entered a residential area. Rong Jun glanced at the time, pursed his lips slightly, and spoke coldly, "Stop here." Then, he turned to Youyou and said in a low voice, "I can't go to the Liu family. You can walk from here. Can you find your way?" Youyou nodded and raised her phone. "Yes, I can use the GPS." Rong Jun gave a slight millimeter, and Shizzy stopped the car. He took her suitcase from the trunk and opened the door. Youyou stood up, about to get out of the car, but then suddenly turned back. Rong Jun looked at her in confusion. To his surprise, she pulled a large white rabbit milk candy from her pocket and handed it to him. "Here, have a candy." Rong Jun looked down at the delicate, fair hands that held the candy. The pads of her fingers were slightly chubby, probably soft to the touch. It was hard to imagine that these hands could overpower Shizzy when they fought. In the palm of her hand, there was a single white rabbit milk candy, the kind that was very common. "Fair?" Rong Jun asked, looking down in a soft voice. Youyou nodded. Her regular WeChat balance was 0, and she didn't have any cash on her. The man in front of her didn't look like he was lacking money, so after thinking it over, she decided to offer him her favorite candy. "All right." Rong Jun smiled lightly, accepting the candy that still had a bit of warmth to it. Youyou nodded with satisfaction, got out of the car, and waved at him. Her eyes, as clear as the blue sea, curved into crescent moons, and her smile spread across her face. The sunlight illuminated her face, causing her lashes to flutter. Much later, when someone asked Rong Jun what had given him hope for life, what had turned him from a cold, indifferent person into someone who treasured her, he would always remember that smile she gave him that day in the narrow car. It was not just sunlight, it was hope. Youyou watched the car drive off and then opened her phone. She explained to her parents, who had come to pick her up, that she had gotten into the wrong car. They were on their way back and might be a little late. "Youyou, go home first. Mom and Dad will be there soon." Youyou typed 2 words, "Okay," and then looked at the next message. You God, where did you go? I noticed your usual location changed." A few years ago, she had founded an organization called GR, gathering talented individuals from all over the country. It didn't belong to any organization in Z country but served the country. It was a mysterious organization protected by the state. The person who sent the message was BR, one of the most talented computer geniuses in Z country, and a member of the GR organization. Originally a hacker specializing in attacking corporate security systems, he had become a responsible citizen under her guidance. I've come to the capital. You God, why are you in the capital? Do you know there's a new figure in the city? They are amazing. They battled me for 300 rounds the night before. And I lost. QAQ. You God, if you have time, can you help me check it out? I need to get revenge. BR was one of the few exceptionally talented computer geniuses she had met in recent years. And to think someone could beat him? Youyou suddenly remembered the son she once raised, who had a remarkable talent in computers. She had once accidentally activated the good person quick travel system. In her last world, her task was to become the mother of 5 villainous bosses, raise them with the right values, and help them become ideal, ambitious, and good people. The system promised that once she completed her task, she could return to a parallel world and live an ordinary life. She had completed the task, so she was back. But she often wondered about those 5 children. She wondered how they were doing now, and if they had grown up healthy. Chapter 3, Returning to the Liu family. Liu family. A woman dressed in dazzling jewels was sitting cross-legged on the sofa, holding a cup of tea in her hand. Her tone was full of pride and arrogance as she spoke. Dad, you probably don't know this, but our Qingqing ranked 3rd in the city in this month's exam. And she also participated in the national computer competition and won 1st place. Even the professors from Capital University praised her talent. The woman's name was Zhang Ru, the wife of the 2nd eldest son of the Liu family. Sitting beside her was a girl about 17 or 18 years old, dressed in a white dress. She had waist-length black hair and a delicate floral accessory tucked behind her ear, making her appear exceptionally obedient. This was another young lady of the Liu family, Liu Qingqing. Qingqing did well. The old master of the Liu family, Liu Zhixing, who was seated in the middle, spoke with a calm tone. Liu Zhixing had 4 sons. The eldest, Liu Wenk, was Liu Youyou's father. The second son, Liu Wenping, was Liu Qingqing's father. The third, Liu Wenjue, had a 13-year-old son named Liu Bowen. The youngest, Liu Wenyun, suffered from a leg ailment and was often confined to a wheelchair, living a solitary life. Thank you, Grandpa. Qingqing will continue to work hard. Liu Qingqing said with a shy smile, but her heart was bursting with pride. She had always known that she had a sister living in the countryside, and she found it ridiculous. A country girl, how could she possibly be worthy of being a lady of the Liu family? She had heard that the country girl was finally coming back, and now she couldn't wait to see how this countryside girl would compare to her, who had received elite education in the Liu family from a young age. Old master, Miss Youyou has arrived, came the voice of the butler from outside the door. Liu Qingqing turned to look toward the door and saw a very beautiful young woman. Her long black hair was slightly wavy, naturally cascading over her shoulders. Around her collarbone hung a silver pearl-like necklace, adding a playful touch to her delicate elegance. The warm yellowish light from the living room illuminated her flawless face, making her fair skin appear even more delicate and smooth. Her face was bare, but it did nothing to conceal her stunning beauty. When Liu Qingqing saw the girl standing in the doorway, it felt like her face had been slapped hard. She tightly grasped the hem of her skirt, nearly wrinkling it. No one had ever told her that this country girl could be so beautiful. She had been praised for her looks all her life, but now, standing in front of this woman, she felt a sense of crisis, from head to toe. Her own prideful beauty seemed completely insignificant next to the woman in front of her. Let me formally introduce you. This is the eldest son's daughter, Liu Youyou, the old master said, gesturing toward her. Although Youyou has not grown up in the Liu family, she is the legitimate young lady of the Liu family. Qingqing and Bowen should call her sister. Liu Qingqing bit her lip lightly. When she looked up again, her face had already returned to its obedient demeanor. Sister, I'm Qingqing. On the other side, 13-year-old Liu Bowen, following his parents' cue, reluctantly pulled his gaze away from his phone and said perfunctorily, Sister. Hello, Liu Youyou said in a calm yet polite tone, with a faint smile on her face. After the brief introductions, the old master patted her on the shoulder. Come, child, sit next to me. Okay, thank you, Grandpa, she responded, then sat down beside him. Seeing this harmonious scene of grandfather and granddaughter, Liu Qingqing couldn't help but sneer inwardly. A country girl, she must have never received any proper education, right? If the grandfather, who always cared about the academic performance of his grandchildren, knew about this, she wondered if he would still be smiling. So, she pursed her lips and put on a sweet, sisterly expression. Sister, you're a year older than me, so you must be in university now. Which university do you go to? Chapter 4, Never read a book. My sister is 1 year older than me, so she should be in college. Which college is she in? Liu Youyou raised her lips slightly. It seemed that her sister had bad intentions. She has lived in dozens of worlds and had dozens of identities. In each world, she has a system to help herself, commonly known as plug-in. In other words, she has been a top talent in different fields in dozens of worlds. She has all the memories of the fast travel world. After returning to the parallel world, she didn't think much about going to school. In her spare time, she founded the GR organization and saved many people like brother. Each of them is a talent in various industries, and some are serving the National Research Institute. Until the day she turned 18, her grandmother, who had never cared about her, forced her to come to the capital and earnestly told her, Nan, I know you are smart, but you still need to study. I will be happy when you get the diploma. This made her remember, oh, it turns out that people of her age still need to study. Seeing that she didn't answer, Lu Qingqing's face suddenly broke out into a confident smile, as if a defeated person who had already lost all his weapons and armor suddenly found a glimmer of hope for survival. Since you've come to the capital, you should have been admitted to the capital college or a university. Qingqing will take the entrance exam this year, but I don't know which one to choose. What do you think, sister? Imperial Capital College and a university are the two best universities in the country. Lu Qingqing's words not only showed off her own achievements, but also put Lu Youyou into an awkward atmosphere. Unless Lu Youyou was really admitted to Imperial Capital College or university, no matter what she said at this time, she would seem to have completely failed. Everyone's eyes turned to the little girl sitting in front of the old man, and even Mr. Lu couldn't help but turn his gaze to Lu Youyou. Who doesn't he want their granddaughter to be great? Unconsciously, even Grandpa Lu had extra expectations for Lu Youyou. As for Lu Youyou, she just glanced at Lu Qingqing calmly and said, I'm not studying. Her voice was not loud, but it was particularly clear in the silent room. Lu Qingqing was so happy here. The situation was better than she thought. How could this country girl not even be able to read? This sister, I'm not saying anything about you. Lu Qingqing bit her lip, glanced at Lu Youyou thoughtfully, and quickly lowered her head. Even in the countryside, there should be schools. How can you not study? She looked very well behaved, and every word she said seemed to be for Lu Youyou's sake. But every word hit Lu Youyou hard. That's right, how can you not even have an education? Zhang Ru's joke-watching mentality was almost written on her face. Dad, I'm not saying it's okay to raise him in the countryside, but he hasn't even had an education. He will be laughed at in the capital in the future. Let's see who dares. The old man slammed the table. This is my Lu Zhixing's granddaughter. If anyone dares to say anything about her, I will fight her to the death. Lu Youyou was a little surprised. She didn't expect that the person who came out to protect her in the end was this fierce-looking old man. Grandpa Lu was full of vigor, and he exuded a deterrent force that said, anyone who dares to speak should get out. He turned to look at his eldest granddaughter, trying to appear loving. Youyou, your grandma said you are very smart. I will find a school for you to study in when the time comes, okay? Lu Youyou blinked and nodded obediently. Okay, Grandpa. Hey. Great. Your sister Qingqing is at the Imperial Capital College affiliated middle school. You can go there when the time comes. If you don't know how, ask her to teach you. Okay, I'll follow Grandpa's arrangements. Lu Youyou agreed readily. She could feel Lu Qingqing's burning gaze without looking back. Grandpa clearly knew that she had never been educated, so shouldn't he have kicked her out of the Lu family? Why did he still find a school for her? And it's the middle school affiliated to the Imperial Capital College. That's the best middle school in the Imperial Capital, and all the best people in the Imperial Capital are there. Why should she, a country girl, do that? Lu Qingqing clenched her fists in jealousy, but pretended to be embarrassed. Grandpa, the study pressure at Imperial High School is very high. If my sister doesn't have a foundation, it may be difficult for her to keep up. If you ask me, not everyone can get into God's affiliated high school. Qingqing ranked among the top 3 in the city to get in. Zhang Ru said, besides, all the children of the rich and powerful in Beijing are there, and my eldest brother's child has no foundation. What if he gets in and causes our Lu family to be laughed at by others? At this moment, the door to the living room was suddenly pushed open, and a strong voice came from outside the door. Who dares to laugh at my daughter? The person who pushed the door open was Lu Wenk, who had just hurried back. He had always been particular about family harmony, but this was the first time he spoke in front of so many people without caring about his reputation. He was wearing a suit that looked carefully put together. He was a man in his 40s, but he was well maintained, without a beer belly. He looked very elegant, but perhaps because he was busy running around, the corners of his clothes were a little messy. Behind him was a woman who looked very beautiful and gentle. Her hair was tied up with a hairpin, leaving only a few strands of hair on her forehead, which naturally fell on her ears. She was wearing a light pink cheongsam, which made her look elegant and energetic. At this moment, her face was full of anger, as if she was going to fight for 300 rounds with the person who said bad things about her daughter. It was Youyou's mother, Mu Zhao. Zhang Ru felt extremely angry when she saw Mu Zhao's aloof look. She was just an ordinary woman whose parents were divorced, but because of her good looks, she somehow managed to get close to the eldest son of the Lu family, and made Lu Wenk fall in love with her so much that she even ignored her position as the patriarch of the Lu family. If it weren't for Mu Zhao, it should have been Zhang Ru who married Lu Wenk, and she would have been the mistress of the Lu family by now. But when she thought about being able to tell Mu Zhao in front of her that her daughter was a country girl who had never been to school, she wondered what kind of expression Mu Zhao, who always prided himself on being noble, would show. How long could he maintain that high-handed attitude? Brother and sister-in-law, it's not that my sister-in-law is being rude, but it's just that I was raised in the countryside and I haven't been to school. What are we going to do in the future? She couldn't wait to speak, her eyes filled with pride. Then, before anyone could say anything, she glanced at Youyou thoughtfully and said hesitantly, even if the young master of the Rong family is in poor health, but we want the Rong family to marry an illiterate person. Young master of the Rong family. Marry her? Youyou raised her eyebrows. Chapter 5 Mom and Dad. No one expected that Zhang Ru would bring up the wedding at this time, which caught Lu Wenk and his wife off guard for a moment. Zhang Ru, please don't worry about our family's affairs. As if seeing Youyou's eyes, Mu Zhao took a step forward and blocked Youyou behind him. My own daughter is the best in my eyes. Letting her leave home for 18 years is my incompetence as a mother, but I won't allow anyone to slander her. As for the matter between Youyou and Rongjuan, you don't need to worry about it. Whether they get married or not, and whether we get married or not, is not up to you, Zhang Ru. Mu Zhao said in a firm tone. Lu Wenk stood beside his wife, hugged her gently, and expressed his support with actions. Lu Wenk rarely saw his wife so strong. She had always been gentle and indifferent, but he knew that this involved their daughter, who was the lifeblood of both of them. Sending their daughter away 18 years ago had made them live in regret and self-blame. Now that their daughter was back, they would not allow anyone to bully her. What you said is true, sister-in-law. We are family. Ruru is just worried about this girl. At this time, Lu Wenping, who had been silent beside Zhang Ru, finally spoke. As his name suggests, his voice was very flat, but it made people feel as if a poisonous snake was speaking. There was an uncomfortable coldness hidden in the flatness. She knows whether it's concern or insincere. Mu Zhao snorted coldly and replied. As soon as he finished speaking, the room fell into a long silence. Lu Wenping didn't expect that his usually docile sister-in-law would have such a side. She didn't give him any face at all, and he felt a little embarrassed for a moment. All right, what are you guys arguing about? Grandpa Lu finally broke the silence. All right, today I'm going to formally introduce Youyou to everyone. Now that the eldest family is back, let's disperse and give them some time to spend together as a family. As he spoke, he waved to everyone and then left the room with his crutches. Brother and sister-in-law will leave first. The third brother's family had not said much. After hearing the order to leave, Lu Wenjue stood up, said goodbye to everyone, and left with his wife and children. Brother and sister-in-law will leave first. Lu Wenping stood up and stopped when he walked next to Lu Wenk, with a malicious smile on his face. Brother, the truth hurts, and what Ruru said is not entirely wrong. It's better to face the reality. Lu Wenk didn't say anything. After a while, just after the second brother and his family left, a gentle and pleasant voice came from another corner. Brother, don't be angry, it's good that the child is back. Youyou looked towards the source of the sound and saw a man sitting in a wheelchair. He looked very comfortable, with a faint smile on his face. He was in his 30s, but there was no trace of time on his face. He seemed like a teenager still in school, wearing a white shirt and delicate thin-framed glasses. I think he should be Lu Wenyun, the fourth master of the Lu family, who has been in a wheelchair all year round because of a leg problem. He pushed his wheelchair towards the three of them, then took out a small box from his bag and handed it to Youyou. It's our first meeting. This is a gift that your uncle prepared for you. I hope you like it. Welcome home. Youyou turned her head and glanced at her mother. After her mother nodded at her, she bowed slightly, then leaned over and took the gift. Thank you, uncle. This little girl looks very well educated. Lu Wenyun looked at the girl who bent down to look at him, and couldn't help thinking. You're welcome. He smiled, turned to look at his eldest brother, and said gently, Brother, it's a good thing that Youyou is back. You and your family can have a good chat. I'll leave first. Lu Wenk nodded at him and said, Then he pushed the wheelchair out of the room by himself. In a blink of an eye, only the family of 3 were left in the room. Youyou looked up at her parents, and Mu Zhao's originally aggressive look disappeared completely the moment he looked at Youyou. She had tears in her eyes and walked towards Youyou cautiously. It was hard to tell whether her eyes showed more heartache or guilt. Youyou, is it Youyou? Youyou looked at the woman walking towards her and nodded honestly, that's right. Then he paused, raised his head, and smiled generously, Are you the mother? Mu Zhao couldn't control her tears. She trotted forward and came carefully to the girl. Yes, Youyou, I am your mother. God knows how she survived these 18 years. If the master had not said that Youyou could not meet her blood relatives before she was 18 years old, she would have followed the child to the countryside long ago. Mommy, can I hug you? She said cautiously. Youyou nodded, sure. Then she leaned into the woman's arms very naturally. Although Youyou had experienced dozens of worlds in the quick travel system and had many mothers, the person in front of her was her real mother. The feeling of blood connection made her heart warm at this moment. The two hugged for a long time, and Mu Zhao also remembered her husband behind her, so she held her daughter's hand while quickly pulling her husband over with the other hand. Youyou, this is your dad. Youyou smiled friendly at the man in front of her who seemed to have white hair, and said softly, Dad. Even a middle-aged man like Lu Wenk, who was already over 40 years old, couldn't help but shed tears. He squatted down and hugged his wife and daughter in his arms. A family of 3, warm and harmonious. At this time, in the Rong family's house, Rong Jun, who had just returned home and returned to the bedroom, tried to close his eyes and sleep but was not sleepy at all, walked out of the room. His thin lips were slightly pursed, and it was obvious that he was in a bad mood. There was also a rare hint of irritation in his cold eyes. Cough, cough, cough. He covered his mouth and coughed twice. 14. He called out. Yes, boss. 14 responded. What perfume are you using in the car today? He asked. 14 looked at his boss in confusion and shook his head, no perfume. Didn't the boss always think that perfume was feminine and unpleasant to the smell? That's why they never had perfume in their car. Rong Jun lowered his head and was silent for a while. His hair covered his eyes, making it impossible to tell what he was thinking. What a pity, Rong Jun thought. The smile in my mind would not fade away, and a faint smell of milk seemed to still linger at the tip of my nose. I should have asked her name earlier. Rong Jun rubbed his head, feeling a little regretful. After a while, he felt that his idea was a little strange. He lowered his head and took out a white rabbit milk candy from his bag. It seemed to still be a little warm, but the milky smell was very faint, so faint that it was almost invisible. I just think the smell is pretty comfortable. If it really helps me sleep, I'll just buy some more. Boss. 14 asked tentatively when he saw that his boss hadn't spoken. Rong Jun then looked up, glanced at him, pursed his lips, and said, Go buy some white rabbit candy. 14 looked at his boss with a look of shock as he opened his mouth to ask for candy. Even though he was always calm, he was still a little stunned. White rabbit milk candy. Rong Jun said calmly, just buy it and put it in my bedroom later. After saying this, he restrained his expression and returned to the room. 14 was left alone with a panic-stricken look on his face. What is white rabbit milk candy? Is this the white rabbit milk candy that he understands? Chapter 6 Campus Male God. A week later. Youyou, don't feel stressed when you get to school. If you don't understand something, just ask the teacher. Your father has already communicated your situation with the teacher. I wanted to take you there, but something unexpected happened at the company today. I'm so sorry, Youyou. Mother Lu put the fried eggs in front of her daughter while chattering. They had originally planned to have their daughter start in the first grade of junior high school, but their daughter directly said she wanted to be in the third grade and also said she wanted to take the entrance exam next year. The child is about to go to school, and she is not afraid of anything else except that her child will be bullied at school. Okay, Mom. Youyou ate fried eggs and drank some milk at the same time. Her cheeks were puffy, which made her look very cute. The fried egg yolk is clear and there is some yolk left after poking it, which looks very delicious. Ever since Youyou came back, her mother has been finding ways to make delicious food for her every day. After a week of getting along with them, she realized that her parents really cared about her and that they had no choice but to send her away. Hey, be good. Mother Lu continued, my friend's son is in the same age and class as you. I've made an agreement with her that if anyone bullies you, you should go find him. His name is Yang Mui. He doesn't talk much, but he's a very nice kid. Makino. The youngest son she raised in the other world was called this name. She remembered that he was the son who depended on her the most, and also the one she was most worried about. I don't know how he is now. Okay, Mom. Don't worry, I'm going out. After breakfast, Youyou gave her mother a look that reassured her, and then went out to school. Mother Lu looked at her daughter's back as she left, with a worried look on her face. Then she quickly lowered her head and opened WeChat, and found her sister. Mujiao, sister. Youyou is going to school today, remember to ask your son to help me take care of her? At this moment, at Yang's house, a man nearly 1.8 meters tall was standing at the door with a cold expression on his face. He was wearing the junior high school uniform of the Imperial Capital Affiliated Academy. His hair on his forehead obscured his eyes, but it could not hide the coldness emanating from him. His lips were slightly pursed, and it was obvious that he was not in a happy mood. Xiaoyi, today's new classmate is the daughter of your mother's best friend. She is in the same class with you. You must take good care of her and don't let her be bullied. Hey, have you heard? We have a new transfer student today. Transfer student? She must be a transfer student. I heard that she is a young lady raised in the countryside by the Lu family and has never been to school. The Lu family? Is that the Lu family? Yes, which other Lu family could it be? It's the Lu family of Lu Qingqing. Today, class 12 of the 3rd grade of junior high school is particularly lively, and everyone is discussing the new transfer students who are about to arrive. Okay, stop talking. Since you are in our class, you are classmates. The person who interrupted the discussion was the class monitor Yu Saibo, who was a very serious and upright person. After hearing him speak, everyone felt it was a bit boring, so they dispersed and talked in low voices. When Youyou followed her homeroom teacher, Teacher Liu, into the classroom, she saw that people in the classroom were sitting in groups of 3 or 5. When they saw the teacher come in, the students had no intention of stopping talking at all. Until Teacher Liu walked up to the podium, patted the table, and said, Okay, be quiet. There's a new student in our class today. Everyone then turned their attention to this new transfer student who was said to have never received any education. My first reaction was, isn't she so pretty? The second reaction was, can Lu Qingqing's position as the school belle be replaced by someone else? Youyou didn't have a school uniform today. She wore a white t-shirt and a pleated skirt, which made her look clean and well behaved. Because she was going to school, she was very sensible and tied her hair up high. She looked like a student. She had a sweet smile on her face, her big eyes were slightly curved, and her skin was as smooth as a baby's. The students who were scolding the transfer student 5 minutes ago were now looking at the girl on the podium quietly, and were speechless for a moment. How could a girl raised in the countryside be so pretty and elegant? My name is Youyou. Youyou introduced herself. Okay Youyou, find an empty seat and sit down. Class will start soon. Youyou nodded and looked around. The classroom had 2 seats, which meant she had to choose a deskmate. It would be nice if I could sit by myself. She thought about it, and then she saw that the 2 seats in the second to last row by the window were empty, and her eyes suddenly lit up. It's by the window, the light is good, and there's no one there. Simply the perfect location. So she went straight to her seat. But what she didn't see was that when everyone saw her walking towards that seat, there were looks of fear and sympathy on their faces. I saw her sitting down in her seat steadily, and even leisurely opened the window to let in the wind. At this time, a fat boy in the last row finally couldn't help it and patted her shoulder gently. Youyou turned her head and looked at him puzzledly. Why don't you change seats? The fat boy said. He really couldn't bear to see such a beautiful girl being beaten by their wild brothers. Is there anyone here? Youyou asked. Yeah. Pang nodded frantically. Are there people sitting in these two seats? Youyou raised her eyebrows and looked at the empty desk, already having a rough guess in her mind. He must be the legendary bully in school, who takes the best seat and skips classes every day, Youyou thought with disdain. As expected, Pang looked at her with some embarrassment. Just assume that these two seats are occupied. Youyou, I am doing this for your own good. People from country Z don't cheat people from country Z. The person sitting here is very fierce. He will beat you. Pang emphasized seriously and solemnly. Youyou looked at the kind-hearted chubby boy in front of her and thought he was extremely cute. Just wanted to speak. But she found that Pang was looking towards the door with fear on his face. Even if she didn't turn around, she could feel an unfriendly gaze coming from behind her, like a cold needle piercing the back of her head. Before she could turn around, she saw a tall figure appear in front of her. In the sunlight, his shadow enveloped her entire body. He exuded a chill, and even the sunlight coming in from the window seemed much colder. Everyone looked at Brother Yi with fear as his seat was taken by the new transfer student. Some girls even covered their faces, unable to bear to look at it. Get lost. The word came out coldly from the boy's mouth in front of him. Youyou inexplicably felt that the voice sounded familiar. Even though 18 years have passed, some things are engraved in our bones and cannot be forgotten. She raised her head and looked at the nearly 1.80-meter tall man standing in front of her with some confusion and uneasiness. Just when everyone thought that the wild god's fist was about to fall, they saw that the wild god, who had originally had a frosty face, suddenly became confused and at a loss. He put down his hand and looked at the woman in front of him, his eyes red and his voice trembling slightly. Mother. Chapter 7, Mom's Big Son. Youyou looked at the boy in front of her who was a whole head taller than her, and she was filled with shock. Xiaoyi, she asked tentatively, trying to raise her head and touch his hair. The hand she just raised was grabbed by another pair of thick and cold hands. Yang Mui's eyes were red, and he pulled her out of the classroom. Ding ling ling, the class bell rang. Yang Mui paused, and Youyou quickly grabbed her long-lost little son, pressed his palm soothingly, and said softly, Xiaoye, can we go to class first? Yang Mui didn't say anything. Youyou pulled him to sit down. I don't know what's going on. Let's talk after class, okay? Yang Mui said nothing, but still lowered his head and sat down obediently. No one had recovered from the shocking scene until the English teacher walked into the classroom, opened the book and started teaching. What did Yishin just call that girl? Mom? They must have heard it wrong. He must have been cursing, right? Yishin must have just wanted to hit her when he grabbed her hand. He just didn't hit her because he was in class, but Yishin has been ignoring classroom discipline for a long time. Why didn't he hit her just because the bell rang? What's even more outrageous is that Yishin actually sat at the same table with a newcomer on the plug-in board. Is this reasonable? How would this make the girls in school who squat at the door of their class every day to watch the wild god feel? Youyou naturally didn't hear what the English teacher said. She could feel her little son's cold yet urgent gaze throughout the class. The moment the bell rang, before the English teacher walked out of the classroom, everyone saw their wild god pulling the new transfer student out of the classroom like the wind. Looking at the empty table in front of him, Fatty said with tears in his eyes. See, I told her not to sit there, but she insisted on sitting there. Yang Mui held her hand until they reached a small terrace on the top floor of the school. Then he let go of her hand, leaned against the wall, lowered his head, and said nothing. Youyou looked at her youngest son whom she had raised for 5 years, and felt very complicated for a moment. When she found Yang Mui, he was only 4 years old and was being trained by a mysterious killer organization. His body was covered in blood, his handsome little face was full of indifference, and he exuded an aura that kept strangers away. She had gone to great lengths to rescue him from the organization. At home, he is always the quietest and best behaved one. When other brothers are pestering her for food, he will just follow her obediently. When asked what he wants, he always shakes his head. When asked urgently, he can only utter 3 words, I want mom. After she left the other world, the thing she was most worried about was this child. But now the child has grown up. Although he still looks as cold as he was when he was a child, he is taller than her and looks handsome and good looking. Xiaoyi, I didn't leave on purpose. She said. She didn't expect to see her sons again, so she actually thought about how to explain this matter during class. I was out buying groceries and suddenly fainted. When I woke up, I was already in Youyou's body. I don't know how to explain that this Youyou looks exactly like me. I always thought I traveled through time, so I never looked for you guys. I'm sorry, oh no. She looked at her son, who was taller than her and might even be older than her, and explained with a sincere face. Yang Mui lowered his head, clenched his fists, then unclenched them, and unclenched them again. The next second, he raised his fist and hit her straight. Youyou was startled and quickly dodged sideways, then caught his other fist with her right hand. The two men fought back and forth and soon fought 5 or 6 rounds. About 3 minutes later, the man whose fist she held suddenly lost his temper, hugged her tightly, and said, "Mother." She held her son, who was nearly 1.8 meters tall, and felt both happy and distressed. Every move he just made towards her was what she taught her after she brought him home. In the short 3 minutes of fighting, both of them seemed to have returned to more than 10 years ago. Yang Mui originally thought that the person in front of him was someone pretending to be his mother, but once they fought, he knew that this person was the one who saved him from dire straits and whom he had called Mom for 5 years. "We all thought you didn't want us anymore." His voice was a little choked. "I didn't. I missed you too," she explained, patting his back. "So do you also need to explain to me how you suddenly became the young master of the Yang family? And he is the son of his mother's best friend." When she heard it, she thought she had just heard it wrong. Yang Mui paused. "After you left, my eldest brother has been taking care of us. I was found by the Yang family when I was 13 years old, and I came back." "Are they all okay?" Youyou asked. "Everything is fine." Yang Mui nodded, and looked at her in front of him a little unnaturally. "So, Mom, are you studying now? Going to junior high school with my own mother is really too bizarre." Youyou was a little embarrassed for a moment, nodded shyly, and told him about the situation of the Liu family. He suddenly remembered that when he went out this morning, his mother seemed to ask him to take care of a new transfer student, who turned out to be the daughter of his current mother's best friend, and was actually the adoptive mother who raised him. After the two explained to each other, the bell for class rang, and Yang Mui took Youyou back to the classroom. Along the way, Youyou kept emphasizing to him, "Xiao Yi, please don't call me mom in front of my classmates, or your image as the school idol will fall to the ground." Yang Mui, "I don't care." No, Xiao Yi, it won't be good if others hear it." Yang Mui, "It doesn't matter to others." How can I explain to my mom that I have an 18-year-old son like you? Anyway, you are not allowed to call me mom." Yang Mui, call me Youyou." Yang Mui, "Okay, mom." I'm so anxious. My dear son, you make me so anxious. The two of them interacted along the way. Youyou chattered away, while Yang Mui said nothing. It seemed like Youyou was chasing Yang Mui, but the other party completely ignored her. This matter soon reached Lu Qingqing's ears. "Have you heard? There's a new student in class 12. On his first day, he was dragged to the rooftop by Yishan and beaten up. I just saw her chasing after the wild god, but the wild god ignored her." Lu Qingqing was so happy when she heard her classmates discussing this. She knew that her sister who came from the countryside was stupid, but she didn't expect her to be so stupid. The young master of the Yang family got lost when he was young and was found when he was 13. He has been held in the palm of the Yang family's hand. Although his grades are not good, he is handsome. Those who want to be his girlfriend can line up from class 1 to class 12. Unfortunately, he is so cold that even she finds it difficult to win him over. But this stupid sister of hers actually offended the young master who was doted on by the Yang family on the first day of school. It was simply ridiculous. Chapter 8. It's a pity I didn't get beaten. "Hey Yushin, I'll call you Yushin from now on. Can you tell me what happened? They all said that Yishin beat you, but I don't believe it at all. Yishin can beat 50 people in our school by himself. If he really beat you, how could you come back safe and sound? And I heard it clearly. The wild god called you. The person who spoke was the fat guy named Jiang Peng who had initially dissuaded Youyou from sitting in the position of the wild god. Youyou turned her head and explained seriously, "Actually, it's like this. My mother knows his mother, and she asked him to take care of me. Xiao Yi is indeed a very nice person. He just took me to the rooftop to get some fresh air just now." "Oh my god. Oh no. What the hell, blowing the wind? Who would believe that? Some people say you guys fought, how could it be just blowing the wind? Hello Youyou, my name is Youyou. Sitting next to Jiang Peng was a tall girl wearing a school uniform with her hair tied up high. Hello, my name is Youyou. Youyou smiled at her. Is Lu Qingqing from class 1 your sister? I heard that she won the first prize in the national computer competition and will soon participate in the selection for the computer major at Imperial Capital College. I have a few questions I want to ask her, can you help me ask them? She is actually a top student who is obsessed with studying. Because she is not good at one subject well, she is in class 12, which has the worst grades. Youyou looked at the innocent and beautiful girl in front of her and couldn't help but pat her on the head. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Her last student is now the most famous computer genius in country Z. At this time, Jiang Peng sneered, Yushin, the fact that you have never been to school has spread all over our school. It's okay. We won't look down on you. After all, I don't like studying either. You don't have to pretend to be rich. What I, Jiang Peng, despise the most are those academic bullies in class 1. The fat boy was full of fighting spirit and quickly expressed his sincerity. He thought he had a good eye for people. The girl in front of him gave him a very real and comfortable feeling, and he wanted to be friends with her. When the little fat man said this, even Youyou who was standing beside him felt a little embarrassed. She probably realized that it was not appropriate to mention the sister with excellent grades in front of her sister who had never been to school, so she quickly said a little embarrassedly, I'm sorry, Youyou, that's not what I meant. Of course Youyou wouldn't bother with them. She shook her head and was about to say something, but she saw Yang Mui, who had just left the classroom, return to his seat. Yang Mui looked at Jiang Peng and Youyou with an indifferent expression, really silent but full of intimidation. It's okay, it's okay. The two of them lowered their heads and continued studying, as if they had never spoken before. Youyou was shocked by her son's deterrent power in the class and silently gave him a thumbs up in her heart. Class 12 is the last class in terms of age, and the teacher doesn't take care of things much. Youyou rested her chin on her hand, staring at the big boy she got for free, in a daze, and the morning class was over. The cafeteria of the Imperial High School was okay, so after class, she followed Yang Mui to the cafeteria. You sit down, I'll go get the food. Yang Mui found a seat by the window for her to sit down and then went to get the food. Although Yang Mui has an aura that keeps strangers away, he is too handsome. From the moment they walked into the cafeteria side by side, Youyou felt countless burning gazes. She calmly and politely looked back at the girls who were staring at her and her son. The girls were furious. Why would the wild god, who always avoided them, come to the cafeteria to eat with a woman? At this moment, Youyou suddenly felt a malicious gaze. She raised her head and saw Lu Qingqing walking towards her. Sister, this is your first time going to school. I should have gone to see you today, but I was in class and didn't have the time to go to class 12. Are you used to it today? Lu Qingqing's voice was not small, and soon many people looked at the two of them. So that's Lu Qingqing's sister. I heard she never received any education, said one of the girls. As everyone knows, students in class 12 are either at the bottom of the grade or have connections. I never thought Lu Qingqing has a sister like this. Another girl said. But apart from anything else, Lu Qingqing's sister is quite pretty, even prettier than her, said a boy. The noise of the crowd naturally reached their ears. When Lu Qingqing heard someone say that Youyou was prettier than her, she felt so angry that her teeth itched. She didn't even have time to wait for Youyou to respond to her, and continued. Sister, I heard that you had a conflict with Mui today. Lu Qingqing acted like a good sister. Mui never likes girls to stick to him. Even if parents know each other, you shouldn't. Conflict. Yishin and the girl walked in side by side. They didn't look like they had a bad relationship. Everyone was a little confused for a moment. Youyou didn't say anything, but looked behind her with a smile. Lu Qingqing turned her head and saw Yang Mui standing behind her with 2 meals and an indifferent look on his face. She looked at the rice in Yang Mui's hand, and a smile suddenly broke out on her face. Mui, is this what you ordered for me? Everyone. Yang Mui. Youyou, she wanted to laugh. Mui, this is my sister, Aunt Mu Zhao's daughter. She was raised in the countryside since she was a child. If she doesn't understand something, please be more understanding. She said with a smile as she reached out to take the meal. Yang Mui pulled back, and Lu Qingqing's outstretched hand instantly froze in the air. Yang Mui asked, "What doesn't she understand?" Lu Qingqing still had that good sister smile. "I heard that you had a conflict today, and I was, by you." Yang Mui, "What did I do to you?" Lu Qingqing bit her lip and said, "I heard that you beat my sister." Then she raised her head with tears in her eyes. "Don't bully my sister. She doesn't know anything. If you have anything to say, come to me." Many people heard about Yishan playing with the new transfer students on the balcony in the morning, and they were all moved by Lu Qingqing to the point of tears. Even people who don't know about this think that Lu Qingqing is such a considerate and kind sister. Her sister has always lived in the countryside and has never been to school, so even when facing a wild god, she bravely stood up to protect her sister. But at this moment, a pair of white and slender hands passed over her and took the meal from Yang Mui's hands. Then he sat down leisurely, raised his eyebrows, and asked, "Who said I was beaten?" Lu Qingqing was stunned for a moment. Lu Youyou smiled and said, "Are you sorry that I didn't get beaten?" Lu Qingqing's face turned pale. Lu Youyou watched her expression change with satisfaction, then lowered her head and started eating. On the other side, Yang Mui looked at her coldly. "Please move aside, you are blocking my position." Lu Qingqing felt like she was about to lose her balance. What happened? Didn't they say that Lu Youyou fell for Yang Mui and was beaten by him? How could their relationship be so good that they would have to eat together? Chapter 9 Campus Male God Youyou. Lu Qingqing didn't go to the cafeteria to eat, but because she heard that Lu Youyou was in the cafeteria, she deliberately went to ridicule her. But unexpectedly, in the end, he was the one who was outmaneuvered. I don't know what despicable methods that vixen from the country used to make Yang Mui, who always avoided women, eat with her. She sat by the tree in front of the teaching building, holding a book in her hand, and was so angry that her teeth were itching. Just then, a voice came from the side. "Qingqing, why are you sitting here alone?" The person who was speaking was Youyou, the youngest son of the Youyou family, one of the 8 great families in Beijing. He was also in the 3rd year of junior high school this year, with very good grades, and was in the same class as Lu Qingqing. Lu Qingqing quickly adjusted her mood, and when she raised her head again, she looked pitiful again. She raised her hand and brushed the corner of her eyes in a pretentious manner. "It's okay, I'm just sitting here reading a book." Seeing the tears in her eyes, Youyou was very angry. "I heard that your elder sister who was raised in the countryside is back. Did she bully you?" He was originally focused on studying at school, but ever since he saw Lu Qingqing, he felt that this was the person he had to protect for life. Just now he heard that Qingqing was bullied by her elder sister in the cafeteria. He went over to take a look and found that it was true. Lu Qingqing shook her head. "How could my sister bully me? I'm just worried about her and afraid that she would be bullied." As she spoke, she secretly looked at Youyou's expression. When she saw the angry expression on Youyou's face, she felt secretly happy. The Youyou family is the head of the 8 major families in Beijing. The current head of the family is called Youyou. Although he is young, he is very powerful. She often hears her father mention him. Youyou is Youyou's younger brother. She had long seen that he liked her, but how could she choose a little kid who was still in school? If Yang Mui is the person she hopes to conquer at school, then Youyou is her future husband of choice. I heard that he is gentle, generous and self-disciplined, which makes him a perfect match for a young and outstanding girl like her. She's too much. I heard that she bullied you in the cafeteria today. Youyou clenched his fists, his face full of anger. Lu Qingqing looked at his angry expression and quickly tugged at the corner of his clothes like a little bird. "It's all my fault. I didn't communicate well with my sister. Don't blame me. You are just too kind. Just wait, I want to see how arrogant a wild girl from the country can be." Youyou looked at Lu Qingqing who was sitting next to him and wiping her tears, and felt so distressed. Lu Youyou, right? How dare she bully the woman he wants to protect? Just wait and see how he deals with her. The first class in the afternoon is physical education. Country Z not only pays attention to students' textbook courses, but also pays great attention to students' physical fitness training. Every semester, students' long-distance running, short-distance running and other physical abilities are tested. Today is the physical fitness test for girls 800 meters and boys 1000 meters. "Oh my god, I can run 800 meters again," Yao said with a smile. "Oh my god, why do I have to run 1000 meters again?" Jiangpeng looked like he had lost all hope in life. The two of them were very interesting and took good care of her in class. They would also tell her interesting stories about each teacher during break time, so the four of them quickly became friends. Why four people? Youyou looked at her little son standing next to her. Yang Mui changed into sportswear, with a cold face but attracted the attention of countless girls on the playground. From his slightly frowned brows, it can be seen that he was not very happy. Jiangpeng looked at Yishan and quietly walked to Youyou's side. Youyou, this is Yishan's first physical education class. Youyou asked, oh, does he skip classes every day? Jiangpeng nodded vigorously, he usually sleeps when we have physical education class. Youyou said, oh, pointed at the girls watching nearby without changing her expression or heartbeat, and said, then they should thank me. If it weren't for me, they wouldn't have seen Yishan sportswear at all. Puchi Yao laughed out loud, Youyou, you are so cute. Soon the physical education teacher called everyone to gather and prepare to go running. Boys and girls have different starting points. Jiangpeng waved goodbye to everyone in tears. Yao pulled Youyou with a concerned look on her face. Youyou, just follow me in a moment. I'm very experienced and I guarantee you can pass. Youyou said obediently, okay, Sister Yao. Yao has a carefree personality, and Youyou likes her very much. Swoosh, with a command, everyone ran out together. Youyou followed Yao at a moderate pace, appearing very relaxed. On the other side, on the boys' track, Yang Mui, who had never taken physical education classes, easily maintained his first place. The girls from other classes who were watching were all screaming. How come the wild god looks so handsome when he runs? It's my first time watching Yishan take a physical education class. It's so exciting. I'm so lucky to have gym class with Nogami. I'm already with Nogami. On the other side of the playground, Youyou, who had just finished running, was surrounded by a group of girls who were giving him water. There are two campus male gods in the Imperial High School. One is the sunny male god Youyou from Class 1, Grade 3, and the other is the cool male god Yang Mui from Class 12, Grade 3. But everyone knew that Youyou liked the school beauty Lu Qingqing. As expected, Youyou refused everyone's offer of water, walked to Lu Qingqing, handed her a bottle of water, and took out a clean towel and put it on Lu Qingqing's head who had just finished running. Lu Qingqing was a little out of breath because she had just finished running. She raised her head with a red face and said, thank you. Everyone watching was jealous. Hey, Youyou is really an affectionate man. He has been good to Lu Qingqing from the first grade to the third grade. But don't you think Lu Qingqing is too much? She has never agreed to the pursuit of the male god, but she has never rejected the male god. What do you know? They know each other, okay? They are just not together because they have to focus on their studies. These two people, one won first prize in a math competition, and the other won first prize in a computer competition. What a fairy tale love. I envy you. Lu Qingqing was very proud listening to everyone's discussion. She was also very proud to have a campus idol like Youyou stay with her for 3 years in junior high school. On this side, Youyou easily followed Yao and finished the 800 meters. Yao came first and she came second. Youyou, I was worried that you couldn't keep up, but you look so relaxed. Yao said. She felt that Youyou was simply a hidden talent. Youyou blinked her eyes and said, it's all because of teacher Yi's good guidance. Har har har, you're really giving me face. Yao laughed, then pointed to the boys' area. It seems that everyone is very relaxed, only Jiangpeng is being tortured. Jiangpeng was seen collapsed on the runway. When Youyou saw the appearance of the little fat boy, she couldn't help but laugh out loud. Just as the two were discussing with laughter, a voice suddenly sounded behind Youyou. Are you Qingqing's sister Youyou? Chapter 10 Be careful, your brother will beat you. Youyou turned her head and saw a very tall boy, about 1.9 meters tall. Unlike Yang Mui's coldness, he has a flat head and looks like a very sunny boy, with deep facial features, sword-like eyebrows and bright eyes, revealing a hint of arrogance. At this moment, he was staring at her with an unfriendly attitude, and Youyou found it a little funny for a moment. It seems that Lu Qingqing is quite resourceful. A seemingly innocent boy actually fell into her hands. Youyou originally intended to warn the girl in front of him and give Qingqing a lesson, but when he saw that Youyou didn't take him seriously at all, he suddenly got angry and said something sarcastic. It is rumored that the eldest daughter of the Lu family came from the countryside. It is true. She does not even have basic manners to treat others. These words were so unpleasant to the ear that even Youyou at the side could not stand to hear them anymore. Are you polite? You suddenly came over here. Who would know who you are? Youyou's face suddenly turned ugly. He didn't expect that a little follower beside Youyou would dare to speak to him like that. He narrowed his eyes dangerously and looked at Youyou. I don't want to hit a woman. Get out of here if you know what's best for you. Youyou wanted to say something, but Youyou raised her hand to protect her behind her. She put away the smile on her face, raised her head, and said lightly, I'm Youyou. Tell me what's the matter. As if he had not expected that the woman in front of him could remain so calm when facing his anger, Youyou felt a little embarrassed for a moment, so he pretended to be more fierce and said viciously, I warn you, don't bully Qingqing, whether at school or at home. Youyou looked at the vicious and protective little wolf in front of her, and for some reason she suddenly thought of her eldest son. In the past, she was raising 5 children by herself, and was often harassed by strange men when she sent them to school. Every time, her eldest son would stand up to protect her and say to the men viciously, I warn you, don't bully my mother. As she thought about it, her eyes turned toward the boy again, already filled with maternal love. She just said, Oh? Who are you? Why do you care whether I bully Lu Qingqing or not? Youyou frowned, then he remembered that he didn't introduce himself. I'm Youyou from class 1. Youyou said oh. Youyou felt like he was being fooled, and said impatiently, Oh, what do you mean? I told you not to bully Qingqing anymore. His tone was not very good, and he was very tall, so he trapped Youyou in a corner. To outsiders, it seemed as if he was bullying her. When Yang Mui walked over, he saw his mother trapped in a corner by Youyou. He suddenly stepped forward, grabbed Youyou's shoulder and pulled him in front of him. His eyes were cold and his tone was icy. Youyou, what are you doing? Youyou pushed Yang Mui's hand away and said, I'll warn her not to bully my people. The sudden confrontation between the two campus male gods quickly attracted everyone's attention. Yang Mui walked over, looked Youyou up and down, and after making sure that she was okay, he protected her behind him. In his heart, he actually knew that few people could bully his seemingly weak mother, but he had no chance to protect her when she was a child. Now that he was around, he would never let her suffer any injustice. Seeing Yang Mui protecting Youyou felt uncomfortable. Yang Mui, what do you mean? Yang Mui turned his head and looked at Youyou coldly. Stay away from her. Youyou sneered, why? The wild god who always stays away from women actually wants to protect her. Then he looked at Youyou with a thoughtful look. I didn't realize you are so capable. After all, Makino was her son whom she had carefully raised for 5 years. If I don't protect her, who will I protect? Youyou said in her heart. She stood there calmly, enjoying the process of being protected. Seeing Youyou's nonchalant look, Yang Mui continued, Youyou, be more respectful when talking to her, or else be careful that your brother will punish you. His brother? Youyou. 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 His eldest son. Youyou's eyes suddenly lit up. She pulled the corner of her youngest son's clothes and looked at him with expectation. Yang Mui turned his head and nodded at her. Youyou received the message, and when she looked at Youyou again, there was only the light of maternal love in her eyes. No wonder she felt that the child in front of her looked very much like her eldest son. It turned out that he was her eldest son's younger brother. He was so cute, like a little wolf. Seeing that the two of them completely ignored him and were talking about their own things, Youyou suddenly felt that he was being ignored, and said fiercely, Yang Mui, don't think that I won't dare to beat you up just because I have big brother protecting you. Yang Mui turned around and said seriously, then I can only teach you a lesson on behalf of my elder brother. The next second, the two men started fighting. Youyou was very tall, and each of his punches seemed to be full of power. Yang Mui looked much thinner, but his punches and kicks were merciless. The two of them chatted with each other, and soon a lot of people gathered around. Why are the two male gods fighting? I heard it was because of Youyou. Who is Youyou? She's Lu Qingqing's sister, the transfer student from the countryside. I heard she never went to school. If nothing else, she's pretty. No wonder two male gods are fighting over her. Youyou watched the fight between the two with great interest. Yang Mui said that he was teaching Youyou a lesson on behalf of his elder brother, and he really meant it. He fought with ease, showing mercy everywhere, and did not use his full strength at all. As for Youyou, Youyou could see that he was also a martial artist, but compared with Yang Mui, who had been trained as a killer since childhood, he was nothing. As the two were fighting, a delicate and anxious voice suddenly came. "Stop fighting, it's all Qingqing's fault." Lu Qingqing came jogging over and was about to rush into the fighting circle between the two people. In order to avoid hitting Lu Qingqing, Youyou took Yang Mui's punch and took a big step back. "Qingqing, why did you come here? Do you know that this is very dangerous?" Youyou said. Lu Qingqing looked at him with tears in her eyes. "You are injured here." Youyou blushed slightly, and said embarrassedly, "It's okay Qingqing, it's just a minor injury." Youyou watched the interaction between the two from the side, the corners of her mouth twitching slightly. She remembered that her eldest son was very smart, so how come he had such a stupid younger brother? "Sister, it's all Qingqing's fault. Please stop letting Mui and Youyou fight." Lu Qingqing looked at her aggrievedly. Youyou didn't expect that she would have to carry such a big pot just standing there. She said, "Oh," and said, "What did you do wrong?" Lu Qingqing's face turned pale, and she looked up at Youyou with a wronged look. Youyou frowned slightly. "Youyou, don't go too far." She didn't even want to reply, and pulled her youngest son who wanted to throw another punch. "Xiao Yi, let's go." Yang Mui looked disapproving. She spoke earnestly and softly, "Let his brother take care of him in the future." Yang Mui thought about his eldest brother's fist and nodded reluctantly. The two reached an agreement and left side by side. At this moment, Youyou, who was in a meeting, suddenly sneezed and frowned slightly. Why does it feel like someone is plotting against him? Chapter 11, Number 1 in Internet Hot Search. Ever since she found out that she could go to school with her youngest son, Youyou has been full of motivation to go to school. The next day, when she walked into the school gate, she clearly felt that there was something wrong in the way everyone looked at her. She naively thought that it was her beauty that attracted everyone's attention. Until the moment she walked into class 12, Youyou rushed towards her and said without any ladylike manner, "Youyou, you are the most popular post on the internet." Youyou? What are hot posts on the internet? Youyou quickly explained, "The internet is our school's communication website. We use the same website as Imperial Capital University." Youyou looked puzzled. "Excuse me, is it my beauty that shocked the entire internet?" Youyou didn't seem to expect her to be so confident, and was a little choked for a moment. "Youyou, even though you are pretty, you don't have to be so confident." For a moment, even the other students in class 12 laughed out loud because of the new student's remarks. The incident of two male idols fighting over you yesterday was ranked first on the internet. Youyou no longer hid it. He opened his phone, found the post, and showed it to her. Title: Shocking. Two male gods actually fought over her. Content: the cold male god Yang Mui protects her behind him. Picture: sunshine male god Youyou fights for her. Picture: who is she? Let's solve the mystery of this transfer student together. The post first analyzed her family background. The eldest daughter of the Lu family, analyzed her background. The eldest daughter raised in the countryside by the Lu family, and analyzed her family relationships. The sister of the school beauty Lu Qingqing. Then we analyzed her educational background. I heard that she had never been to school, and analyzed her class. She was in class 12, which was at the bottom of the class. In the end, the question of why the two male gods would fight over her was left to the onlookers. Anonymous A: to be honest, this new classmate is really pretty. It's not a big deal for male idols to fight for her, right? Anonymous B: I don't like what you said above. Look at what level of male god they are. They are Yushin and Yishin, okay. Anonymous C: one more piece of information. Yushin has been pursuing Lu Qingqing for so many years, there is no reason for him to fall in love with someone else. I heard that it was a new transfer student who bullied our school beauty, and Yushin was looking for revenge. Rumor: let us say the school beauty has to be replaced by a new classmate. Picture: if you agree, please like it. 999 plus likes. The post was stacked hundreds of times, and people kept replying. In one of the two pictures, Mui is blocking her behind him, and she shows half of her face like a little bird. The other picture shows Mui and Youyou fighting, and she stands aside and watches the show with a smile on her face. She had only been enrolled for one day, but she felt like all her past was gone in this school. Are kids nowadays so idle? Such a trivial matter can be discussed. Youyou thought expressionlessly, then took out her phone and, under Youyou's guidance, found the hot comments under the post. Rumor, let us say the school beauty has to be replaced by a new classmate. Picture, if you agree, please like it. System message, Youyou thinks you are right, gave a thumbs up. Youyou looked at Youyou's ID name and suddenly felt ashamed. Youyou asked innocently, what's wrong? Youyou looked at the fair-skinned and beautiful girl in front of him and shook his head. Maybe this is the school beauty. She is beautiful and has a sweet voice. Even her ID is so exquisite that it is hard to hate her. But seeing that she was not affected at all, Youyou was relieved. Although the teaching quality of this school is top in Country Z, it has also ruined the lives of many people because of campus rumors. Damn it, that idiot named Liu in class 1 is so shameless. Just as the two were reading the post, Jiangpeng's voice suddenly came from the door. Everyone looked at the door and saw Jiangpeng banging his fist on the wall. Next to him, squad leader Youyou, who was always known for his calm mood, was holding a stack of test papers with trembling hands. He was wearing thin-framed glasses. Through the glasses, you can see the red bloodshot eyes caused by excitement, and the sweat stains from the corners of his eyes and forehead are stained on the frame. What's wrong? Someone asked. That idiot named Liu came to make trouble, saying that people in our class were affecting the learning of their class. What the hell? Yesterday, Youyou from their class made trouble for himself, and the whole playground was watching. He was really telling lies with his eyes open. That idiot still dares to say that our Pomelo god is stupid. I won't say it anymore. Jiangpeng's eyes turned red as he spoke. What are you talking about her? At this moment, a cold voice suddenly came from outside the door. It was Yang Mui who had arrived at the door at some unknown time. Jiangpeng looked up at Yang Mui, then looked at her. Speak. Yang Mui said coldly. Jiangpeng wiped the sweat from his forehead and closed his eyes. She said that Yushin is a little vixen who has never been to school and seduced Youyou from their class. As soon as Jiangpeng finished speaking, everyone clearly felt that the air temperature around them seemed to have dropped several degrees. For a moment, no one dared to speak. Yang Mui walked towards the teacher's office without even turning his head. Youyou rushed out of the classroom and grabbed him. Let go. There was anger in Yang Mui's tone. Xiao Yi. Youyou whispered, I taught you before, don't be impulsive. She scolded you. Yang Mui lowered his head, and his eyes were full of grievance when he looked at her. Youyou squeezed his palm and said, it's not a big deal. Beating her can only relieve our anger temporarily. If we want to deal with her, we have many ways to do it after we understand the situation clearly. Be good and go back to the classroom first, okay? Youyou said as she pulled Yang Mui back to the classroom. Everyone looked at the two people holding hands, with a look of understanding. It seems that their wild god has finally met his nemesis. Youyou walked up to Jiangpeng and said, Jiangpeng, if she just scolded me, you wouldn't be so angry. After all, they had only known each other for 2 days, and no matter how deep their relationship was, it wouldn't be like this. Jiangpeng and Youyou's reactions were indeed too big, and everyone looked at them for a moment. Youyou, the class monitor, said, she scolded Youyou, and Lao Liu thought her words were rude, so he started arguing with her. Old Liu is their class teacher, who is nearly 50 years old. Most class teachers also have the surname Liu, but because she is young, everyone usually calls her Xiao Liu. She forced Lao Liu to make a bet with her about the number of students from our 2 classes who made it to the top 10 in the midterm exam. The loser will resign from the Imperial High School. After Youyou finished speaking, everyone took a deep breath. Chapter 12, Learning Atmosphere is full. So, did Lao Liu agree? Youyou's voice trembled a little when he spoke. Although their class had poor grades, Lao Liu had always been very nice to them. There are many students in the class who plan to study abroad instead of taking the entrance exam. Lao Liu doesn't blame them for the lower average score. There are also some students in the class who have special family circumstances, such as Yang Mui, who has never handed in homework since the 1st grade. Lao Liu will not treat him specially because of his family conditions, and still teach him carefully like an old mother. Yang Mui's persistence in coming to school every day is often a way of giving face to this kind educator. As everyone knows, Yang Mui has a bad temper. He will use his fists to beat anyone who offends him at school. The only person who dares to persuade him and can persuade him is Lao Liu. I agree. Youyou nodded and said. She is so shameless. What's the situation in class 1? What's the situation in our class? She has the nerve to say that out loud. Jiang Peng said, gritting his teeth. The classroom suddenly fell into silence. At the end of last semester, among the top 10 students in the grade, 6 were from class 1 and only 1 was from class 12, the class monitor Youyou. He was brought up by Lao Liu from the first grade. Logically speaking, he should have been transferred to another class long ago, but he refused to leave. To think that you can surpass one class is simply a fantasy. In other words, as long as 6 people make it into the top 10 in the grade, we can win. Just when everyone felt there was no hope, Youyou asked. Not really. The top 8 in the grade are actually quite stable. Class 1 was lucky last time. Usually there are 4 students in class 1 and 4 in class 2, and the rest have to fight for 2 spots. Jiang Peng also responded quite seriously. Youyou said oh, and her expression suddenly became relaxed. So, as long as 4 of us make it into the top 10, we'll be safe. Basically. Jiang Peng answered, looking at her with some confusion, so what? Only one person in their class can be in the top 10. For 3 years, there has only been Youyou, and there has never been an exception. Youyou looked at Youyou and said, you count as 1, is that okay? Youyou nodded confidently, of course, I can basically be in the top 5. Youyou nodded with satisfaction and turned to look at Youyou, if you try hard, it should be possible, right? Youyou? I can't do it. Youyou had a bewildered look on her face. Although her grades were not bad, her best performance was only in the top 50 in the grade. I looked at your grades. You didn't even pass English last semester. There are still 3 months until the midterm. For Lao Liu, it's not too much to work hard, right? Youyou is a typical science girl. Chinese is her native language, so she is okay, but English has always dragged down her grades. She likes computers very much and hopes to enter Imperial Capital College directly by passing the computer professional exam. English was a subject she originally planned to give up. But when he thought of his old class teacher, Youyou gritted his teeth and nodded, okay. Count me in. I'll start memorizing English words every day today. Youyou hummed, then turned her gaze towards Yang Mui and said. What do you say, show it. Jiang Peng, who was standing in the same row with Yang Mui, thought Youyou was looking at him, and suddenly took 2 steps back, with a look of fear on his face. Yushin, I can't do it. I failed in math, Chinese, and English. Even if you give me 3 years, I still can't do it. Then, as if realizing that she was not looking at him, Jiang Peng followed her gaze and saw that it was their perennially last-ranked campus idol Yang Mui. He handed in blank papers for all the examinations. Yushin is even more impossible, his grades are even worse than mine. Jiang Peng didn't finish his words. Okay. A gentle response came from Yang Mui's mouth. He put his hands in his bag and leaned against the classroom door. His hair covered his forehead, making it impossible to see his expression, but his tone was calm, as if he had agreed to something very ordinary. Everyone, oh. What? The third choice is Yushin. Is that the wild god who never does his homework and always comes last in exams? Then, what about the 4th candidate? Youyou's voice trembled a little, and an unbelievable thought suddenly popped up in his mind. Youyou pointed at herself innocently, me. Youyou, as expected. Everyone has read this morning's post. The whole world knows that you haven't even finished primary school. Oh tilde. Otherwise, I'll try harder. Since both the new transfer student and the last-ranked Nogami are both acceptable. So what reason do I have to say no? When old Liu walked into the classroom carrying her math book, he saw that all the students in class 12, who had never had a good study spirit, were sitting in their seats in an orderly manner. Their math textbooks on the desk were accurately open to the page that was to be taught, and all the students were looking at him with curiosity. Old Liu. A bad mood suddenly turns better? If these kids continue to be so obedient, he won't have any regrets even if he leaves the school. As the sun sets, white clouds float in the blue sky. A ray of crimson sunlight shines through the shade of the trees, casting beautiful patterns on the ground. The students who were leaving school gradually walked out of the school. A low-key and luxurious black car suddenly slowed down when passing the school gate and stopped under the shade of the trees opposite the school. Inside the car, a pale but handsome man dressed very thinly coughed twice. The sound of his cough moved his body, making his exposed collarbone look more like a sickly beauty. He looked straight through the car window at a girl at the school gate. 14, who was sitting in the driver's seat, parked the car on the side of the road and looked towards the school gate. There was the girl that their boss had sent home that day. "Master Rome, do you want me to check her out?" 14 asked. There was a long silence in the car. After a while, the girl and another man were seen walking in another direction. The man with her seems to be the young master of the Yang family. 14 turned his head and found that his boss had withdrawn his gaze and was playing with a white rabbit milk candy in his hand. When he looked up again, it was already the old Mr. Rome, who seemed indifferent to everything. His brows were cold, and his eyelashes seemed to be covered with frost. He looked pale even in the sunlight. Only his lips still had a hint of blood, but there was no warmth in his words. "Let's go." 14 lowered his head and drove away. Rome Jun closed his eyes, her smile flashed through his mind, and the candy in his hand seemed to emit that milky aroma again. "I even felt a little sleepy. How ridiculous. Is Rome Jun going to be reduced to relying on a woman to help him fall asleep?" Chapter 13. Our mom is back. At the dinner table, Lu Qingqing was eating quietly, with her father and mother next to her. "Qingqing, how are you doing at school lately?" Lu Wenping has a public office and a lot of social engagements, so he seldom goes home for dinner. Lu Qingqing nodded and put down her bowl and chopsticks obediently. "Everything is fine. I'm preparing for the early admissions exam for the School of Computer Science at Imperial Capital University." "Yeah," Lu Wenping nodded. His daughter had never let him down. "I heard your sister is going to school too." He and Lu Wenk had been fighting since they were young. After Lu Youyou came back, he was naturally very concerned about the current situation of the other party's daughter. Lu Qingqing nodded and said, "Yes, father." Then she bit her lip, with a hint of embarrassment in her eyes. "What's wrong?" Lu Wenping frowned and said. His daughter was good in every way, except that she was too unambitious and simple, and was easily bullied. She was exactly the same as his wife Zhang Ru. Lu Qingqing hesitated for a moment and whispered, "My sister made Mui unhappy as soon as she arrived at school, and she even instigated a fight between Mui and Youyou." What? Lu Wenping never expected that his eldest niece would be so restless. He originally thought that she was just an uneducated country girl, but now it seems that she doesn't even have basic manners. "Mui is the child from the Yang family?" Lu Wenping asked. "Yes." Lu Qingqing nodded. Seeing that her father had no doubts about her, she acted very embarrassed. "My classmates are all asking me why I suddenly have a sister. I'm also embarrassed." Although she didn't know how she seduced Yishin, how could Yishin choose a country woman who had never read a book? In Lu Qingqing's heart, Yishin would sooner or later discover Lu Youyou's bad side, and by then, his disgust for her would naturally double. She is really good at making trouble instead of doing good. Lu Wenping put down his chopsticks. Lu Wenk is such a coward. She doesn't even take good care of her own daughter. The boy from the Yang family is the treasure of the Yang family and will inherit the Yang family sooner or later. She actually offended them. She really doesn't know her own limitations. All right, don't be angry. It's not our Qingqing who has offended us. The Yang family can tell good from bad." Zhang Ru quickly stood up and patted his shoulder gently to calm him down. Then she looked at Lu Qingqing and said, "Youyou has always been very affectionate towards our Qingqing, but he is too young. Husband, I asked you to ask Youyou to arrange a marriage for our Qingqing. How is that going?" Zhang Ru asked. Although Youyou is 8 years older than Qingqing, he has good conditions in all aspects and is also the current helmsman of the Youyou family. It is rare that their daughter also has a good impression of him. They had planned to talk to their daughter about this marriage before, but they don't know how the progress is now. Sure enough, after talking about this topic, Lu Qingqing's face suddenly turned red. She lowered her head and said shyly, "Mom, Qingqing is still young. You can get engaged first." "Look, didn't Lu Youyou get engaged to Rong Jun a long time ago?" Zhang Ru said as she felt a little gloating. "But they are indeed a good match, an uneducated wild girl and a dying sickly boy." "Okay, let's just talk about this in the house." Lu Wenping said seriously, although Rong Jun is in poor health, the old man of the Rong family has always protected him. As long as he is in better health, the entire Rong family will be his. Zhang Ru nodded awkwardly and said no more. Youyou is a really good kid. Lu Wenping rubbed his head, his expression not relaxed. You said I mentioned this to him, and he rejected it right away when I opened my mouth. Hearing this, Lu Qingqing's face turned pale in an instant, with a look of grievance on her face. He's not targeting you. He rejected everyone. Lu Wenping quickly said to comfort her. After a pause, he looked at his sad daughter and sighed. I heard that he likes men. What? Zhang Ru covered her mouth. Even Lu Qingqing was surprised. She had seen Youyou at a banquet once and had fallen in love with him ever since. He was handsome and steady, and had always been the person she wanted to marry. But now her father actually told her that Youyou liked men? Lu Qingqing felt very upset. At this time, in a quiet and luxurious room, a man in a suit was leaning against the sofa, his hand resting lightly on his face, his long legs casually crossed. His ironed shirt now had a few wrinkles, making him look a little more tired. The room was filled with a faint scent of perfume, very elegant, yet very helpful for sleeping, and the man on the sofa's breathing soon became steady. 10 minutes later, the man opened his eyes. They were a pair of shrewd and steady eyes. At first glance, it seemed as if you were about to be sucked in. The man lit a cigarette, and a strong smell of hormones emanated from his body. This man is the man Lu Qingqing most wants to marry, the eldest grandson of the Youyou family, Youyou. Youyou opened his mobile phone and read the messages he received during the day one by one. One of them caught his attention and made the corners of his mouth curl up unconsciously. Youyou, big brother, your good brother Yang Mui has become successful. He fought with me for a woman at school. You have to avenge me. Youyou, picture. The picture shows the scratches on Youyou's hand. Youyou, if you can't beat him, don't fight. It's embarrassing. After replying to Youyou, he exited the chat interface and found Yang Mui's chat box. Youyou is his biological brother. In the past few years since he returned home, he has raised his younger brother as his own son. Yang Mui is another child adopted by his foster mother. The brothers grew up together and have a very good relationship. But he remembered that Yang Mui had been not good at speaking since he was a child. After his adoptive mother left, the child still felt resentful about it. After being found by the Yang family, he treated the Yang family members in a lukewarm manner. In Youyou's memory, Yang Mui only opened his heart to their former adoptive mother. I wonder what kind of girl this time is, who could make this little brother of theirs fall in love. Youyou, I heard from Xiaoyu that you recently had a fight with him over a girl at school. What? Are you in love? Yang Mui, picture. The message came back quickly, and Youyou operated his phone and clicked on the large picture. The picture shows their adoptive mother Youyou, wearing a school uniform. I don't know where this silly brother found this photo. Youyou, why are you posting pictures of our mom? Confused. Yang Mui, the person I am protecting is her. Youyou. Yang Mui, our mother is back. Youyou. Chapter 14, My Sister-in-Law. After seeing the message, Youyou immediately thought that his brother might be missing his mother too much. But when he came to his senses and clicked on the large picture again, he quickly discovered that something was wrong with the picture. Isn't he the school uniform, the girl in the picture wearing the uniform of the Imperial Capital College affiliated middle school? And behind that girl, the two people who seem to be fighting, aren't they his two silly younger brothers, Youyou and Yang Mui? Cough cough. He was so anxious that he choked on the cigarette he smoked. He didn't have time to type and ask, so he just made a voice call. Yang Mui, who was usually quiet, answered the call in almost 1 second. What's going on? Youyou asked, his voice a little hoarse because he had just smoked. Yang Mui told him what happened in school in the past 2 days, including the details of their acquaintance. Are you sure it's our mother? Is it possible that she just looks like her? Youyou asked, still with some doubt in his tone. I fought with her, and she used all the moves she taught me before. It must be her. Yang Mui said on the other end of the phone. Youyou smiled and took a puff of cigarette, as if all the fatigue of the whole day disappeared at this moment. Yang Mui's martial arts skills are the best among all the brothers. The only one who can fight with him and be recognized by him is their adoptive mother Youyou. But he never expected that after so many years, he would still see the woman who rescued him from dire straits. He was 13 years old when Youyou suddenly disappeared. He always felt guilty about her disappearance, thinking that it was because he failed to take on the responsibility of the family that led to his adoptive mother's departure. Over the years, he had always hoped to make up for his younger brothers. Very tired, really tired. But after hearing the news, he somehow felt relaxed all over, as if the burden of many years had suddenly been lifted, and he just wanted to close his eyes and have a good sleep. "Brother, can I go talk to the second, third, and fourth brothers?" Yang Mui's voice on the other end of the phone interrupted his thoughts. Youyou chuckled. "No, no matter how you scare me, you should find a chance to scare them." Then he thought for a while and said, "It would be better to take them to see the real person directly, otherwise it would be too easy for them." "Oh, okay." Yang Mui responded, and then was silent for a while. "By the way, Youyou bullied our mother." Youyou smiled and said, "What happened?" "I heard him say that you two had a fight." Yang Mui recounted the story of how Youyou bullied Youyou for Luqingqing, without showing any mercy. Youyou paused for a moment and said, "Don't worry, if you dare to bully our mother, I will take care of this little bastard myself. I've heard Xiaoyu talk about this Luqingqing several times. On the one hand, she's teasing my brother at school, and on the other hand, her father wants to arrange a marriage with me. She's really not afraid of being fed to death." The two brothers chatted intermittently all night, and when Youyou woke up the next day, he still felt like he was dreaming. "Mr. Youyou, this is today's document. I need your stamp." It was not until his secretary's Youyou knocked on the door that he reluctantly opened his eyes. He was a workaholic and often fell asleep in the office, so Youyou was no longer surprised. Youyou took the document, then seemed to remember something and called Youyou. "Is the Imperial High School holding its anniversary celebration soon?" He vaguely remembered receiving an invitation to go back and give a speech as an outstanding student. Youyou rolled her eyes and nodded. "Yes, Mr. Youyou. The principal of the Sani High School sent you an invitation last week, but you declined on the grounds that you had something to do that day." Youyou nodded. "Go call me back and tell them I'm going." "Okay, Mr. Youyou." When he woke up, the person he once called mother suddenly returned to his junior high school. Although it sounds fantastic, as a son, he should go and support his mother, right? Youyou discovered early this morning that her youngest son was different from usual and seemed to be in a good mood. After persistent questioning, Yang Mui finally confessed the conversation between the two brothers last night. Before Youyou had time to ask more questions, a person suddenly rushed into the classroom door like the wind. It was Youyou from class 1. Youyou rushed to her desk with an angry look on his face. Just as she was wondering what she had done to offend this young master Youyou, she saw Youyou slam the table with both hands and suddenly pull Yang Mui up. "What did you say to my brother?" His eyes were red, like a little wolf. Yang Mui pushed his hand away without changing his expression. "Tell the truth." Youyou pointed at Youyou and asked, "Who is she?" Youyou couldn't figure out why his elder brother sent him a message so early in the morning. "Youyou, show some respect to that girl and don't bully her." "Youyou. Which girl?" Youyou. "That person is under the protection of your brother." "Youyou. Could it be that this Youyou is actually his sister-in-law? No wonder his elder brother always said that he had someone in his heart. Could it be her? No wonder Yang Mui has always protected her. If this woman was his sister-in-law, he would have to protect her too. But how could his sister-in-law bully his future wife Luqingqing? Yang Mui calmly placed Youyou behind him, intending to protect her. But in Youyou's opinion, this action completely ignored the fact that Youyou was his sister-in-law. Youyou returned to class 1 in a daze. On one side is the girl he likes, and on the other side is his sister-in-law. What should he do? Luqingqing noticed something unusual about Youyou early this morning. Seeing how distraught he looked, she walked over. "Brother Yu, what happened?" Luqingqing asked with concern. Ever since her father told her yesterday that Youyou was that thing, she became even more determined to protect the talents of Youyou. The Youyou family would definitely not choose someone who liked men as the heir. Although Youyou is young now, if she can build a good relationship with him from an early age, the identity of the future mistress of the Youyou family will be in her hands. Youyou raised his head and looked at the girl he had liked for many years, and suddenly he felt a little choked up. Ching Ching, I'm useless. I can't control Lu Youyou anymore. R. Lu Qingqing looked confused. He had fought for her a few days ago, so why did his attitude suddenly change now? What went wrong? What's wrong, brother Yu? Did Yishan complain to Big Brother? Lu Qingqing thought about it, and this was the only possibility. She lowered her head, looking pitiful. It's all my fault. Big Brother taught you a lesson. It's not your fault. Youyou shook his head and said with a tearful face, Lu Youyou is my sister-in-law. What did you say? Chapter 15. Is it still on the way today? Since the midterm exam 2 days ago, the learning atmosphere in Class 12 has improved by leaps and bounds. Even some rich kids who originally planned to go abroad have begun to study hard. This makes Lao Liu, the head teacher of Class 12, very pleased, and even his mood at work has improved a lot. The general head teacher is named Liu Xiaotong, a new teacher with a doctorate degree. She has just arrived at the school not long ago, but with her high academic qualifications, she took over a class directly and became a popular figure in front of the principal. In this year's national selection of outstanding teachers, Lao Liu, an old teacher who has never been picky about students and has taught diligently for 20 years, was originally on the list. However, Xiao Liu took advantage of the fact that the principal liked her and changed the already confirmed spot into a fair competition based on class performance. Old Liu, how can you still laugh? You were going to retire next year. The bet she made is simply not something a human being should do. The person who spoke was an English teacher who also taught Class 12. Naturally, he knew what the situation in Class 12 was like. Lao Liu smiled as he corrected the homework. It's okay, I don't mind. You see, because of this, the learning atmosphere in our class has been very good in recent days. The English teacher nodded. That's true. It's rare that all their homework has been submitted. As they were talking, Liu Xiaotong walked into the office. She was wearing a pair of high heels that made a click-click sound, with a confident smile on her face. So the students in Class 12 can't even hand in their homework. Senior Liu, this won't do. Have you forgotten our bet? Old Liu glanced at her calmly, turned his head and said, Don't worry, I won't forget. Liu Xiaotong looked at Lao Liu, who was manually correcting homework, with contempt. She had long been fed up with these outdated teaching methods. Young people today should use the most advanced teaching methods. What's the point of correcting homework every day? Isn't the grade of the class still the last? It's good that you won't forget. I also hope that you can manage the students in your class well. Don't force our students to fall in love prematurely when you don't have the ability. It will hurt others and yourself. Liu Xiaotong snorted coldly, and her words were very merciless. This morning, she found that Youyou, the best student in the class, was distracted in class. Lu Qingqing told her that Youyou went to Class 12 this morning and was like this when he came back. She was furious. Youyou was her most promising student, and he was repeatedly influenced by those people in Class 12. It was really shameless. Don't slander my students without evidence. It's still unclear who is influencing whom. Lao Liu has a good relationship with his classmates. Naturally, he knew that Youyou had come here to make trouble this morning, including the previous fight. He also knew that it was Youyou who started the trouble first. She knew her classmates best. They didn't cause trouble, but they weren't afraid of it either. Even if they did cause trouble, they would admit it like a man and would never shirk responsibility. That's why she accepted the bet in a fit of anger. But she didn't regret it. Compared with the future of her students, what was her future? HMPH, you know all too well how much trouble that bitch Lu Youyou from your class has caused since she came here. I will report it to the principal during the monthly meeting. Liu Xiaotong said with contempt. As she was talking, she realized that the way people were looking at her was not right. Knock knock knock. There was a knock on the classroom door. Liu Xiaotong looked outside and saw Lu Youyou standing there. The girl had a faint smile on her face, neither humble nor arrogant, as if she hadn't heard what had just been said. It was just an ordinary school uniform, but on her she looked like a star. She didn't know how long she had been standing at the door, or how long she had been listening. After hearing Lao Liu say, "Come in," she politely walked up to Lao Liu. Lao Liu was worried that she could not keep up with the course, so he prepared class notes for her from the first to the third grade of junior high school, and also told her carefully. Youyou, I know you may not be studying for further education, but I still hope you can learn something in school instead of wasting your time. Youyou nodded and took the notes that Lao Liu had carefully prepared for her. When she was leaving the office, she suddenly stopped and turned to look at Liu Xiaotong, who had just scolded her with a half-smile. Is this the famous teacher Liu? Turns out he's just a foul-mouthed person. Liu Xiaotong's face turned red with anger. Don't you know what you did? Lu Youyou still had a nonchalant look on her face. You don't know what I did, but you insulted the students, and all the teachers present heard it. The teachers in the office nodded cooperatively. Liu Xiaotong, studying is the most important thing for students, but you spend every day not doing your homework and dating. I scold you for your own good, but you are not happy. Yeah, that's right. My parents never scolded me, so why do you? Lu Youyou nodded, her eyes became serious, and the smile on her face faded a little. The most important thing for students is to study. Remember what you said, take care of the people in your class, and don't cause trouble. We'll meet in the exam room. Lao Liu won't lose, and neither will class 12. Why don't you open your computer and write your resignation letter now? Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't even have the energy to type by then. After Lu Youyou finished speaking, she walked out of the office. Liu Xiaotong was left behind, jumping with rage. She pointed at Lao Liu angrily and said, Lao Liu, this is the student you taught. Old Liu was still marking the homework seriously, and said, Youyou is right. There is no point in saying more. See you in the exam room. Okay. Liu Xiaotong was so angry that she laughed and slammed the book. I want to see how you, class 12, will meet me in the examination room. The news of Lu Youyou angrily scolding Liu Xiaotong in the office soon spread to class 12. Jiang Peng was already excitedly shouting Yushin is mighty, and Yi Yao, who was drowsy while memorizing English words, also lost all sleepiness because of this incident and aroused his fighting spirit. After school, Lu Youyou walked out of the school gate alone. Since having a son, Yang Mui has been riding his bike to take her to and from school every day. Today, Mui had something to do, so she prepared to take a taxi home. Just as she was standing at the school gate waiting for a bus, she suddenly saw the low-key and luxurious black car across the road. License plate number, starts with A and ends with 66. Isn't this the car that took me home when I returned to the imperial capital? Lu Youyou lowered her head and cancelled the taxi order she had just placed without hesitation, then walked to the car door. Before she could say anything, the car door was opened from the inside. She raised her head with a smile and was met with a pair of cold yet deep eyes. He looked much weaker than last time. It was summer, but he was wearing a long-sleeved jacket. However, no matter how sick he looked, it couldn't hide his beautiful face. The two looked at each other for a while, and said at the same time, Lu Youyou, is it still on your way today? Rong Jun, I want to ask you for a favor. Chapter 16. You are sick and dying. Seeing Lu Youyou getting into the car, Shaxi was so moved that he almost cried. Ever since he saw this girl at the school gate a few days ago, their master Rong had ordered him to drive here every day to watch her walk out of the school gate, and then leave in the car of the young master of the Yang family. He wanted to tell their Master Rong, if you really like this girl, why not just take her home and be done with it? Isn't it uncomfortable to come here every day and watch her get into other people's cars? It was as if he had watched a tragic love drama for several days, and finally on this day, he waited for Lu Youyou to walk out of the school gate alone. And the girl was very tactful and walked to their car. It seemed as if the next second the two of them would see the bright moon through the clouds. But the reality is, this is only the second time the two people have met. Let's go. Rong Jun said lightly. On the surface, he looked calm, but the blush on his ears betrayed him. 14 started the car with a confused look on his face. So where should we go? Should we go to Lu's house again? After Shaxi drove past the school gate for the third time, Lu Youyou finally couldn't help it. Where are we going? Her voice was so soft that Rong Jun felt as if he were an old uncle who kidnapped children. He coughed lightly and looked up at the girl in front of him. Have you eaten? Lu Youyou shook her head obediently. I didn't eat it. Then let's go eat. Rong Jun's voice was light and pleasant to hear. Lu Youyou nodded. Okay. Have a meal. 14 seemed to have a direction all of a sudden and drove directly to Rong Jun's home. Rong Jun had been in poor health since childhood, so the old man of the Rong family spent a lot of money to hire the best chef, who had been following him and cooking for him since he was a child. He couldn't think of any other place where the food was better than the food at Mr. Rong's house. And Rong Jun seemed to acquiesce to this route. After the car stopped, Youyou got out, and what caught her eye was a very low-key villa. Looking at the defenseless girl in front of him, knowing that she was fully capable of protecting herself, Rong Jun couldn't help but ask softly, "Aren't you afraid that I will lie to you?" Youyou's eyes were bright and round, her lips were red and her teeth were white. "You are richer than me, and you are prettier than me. What in me is worthy of your deception?" Rong Jun curled his lips slightly, a hint of warmth flashed across his cold black eyes. His voice was a little hoarse because he had just coughed. "Let's go. I'll take you to taste the food of my family's chef." Youyou nodded and followed Rong Jun into the room. All you see is white. The walls are paved with white stone bricks, which look a bit mottled under the light. As soon as you walk in, you can smell a faint medicinal fragrance. It can be seen that the owner of the villa is probably in poor health and takes medicine all year round. "Master, dinner is ready," an old butler in his 50s whispered, looking at the girl next to Rong Jun. "Add another set of bowls and chopsticks," Rong Jun instructed. His voice was light and seemed a little deserted in this quiet villa. "Yes, master." The Rong family's dishes are indeed delicious. The simple for dishes and one soup have completely different flavors. Obviously, precious medicinal herbs and supplements are added to each dish, but there is no strange taste at all. Youyou has always claimed that she knows everything and is a jack of all trades, but the kitchen is her lifelong enemy. When she was taking care of 5 children in another world, her eldest brother Youyou had to go to the stove early and take on the responsibility of cooking because her cooking was so bad. After returning to the parallel world, she didn't have any big demands for food and always ate whatever was available without being picky. But the meal she had at Rong's house was so surprising and satisfying to her. Youyou, who was very satisfied with her meal, raised her head and looked carefully at the handsome man in front of her. She had been through many worlds and had seen handsome men before. But when she looked at the man in front of her up close again, she still felt that he was stunning. His facial features seemed to be carved out stroke by stroke, perfect without any flaws, and his hair hung softly on his forehead, casting a shadow. Perhaps because of his long-term illness, his figure looked very slender, but as a martial artist, Youyou could see at a glance how powerful the lines hidden under his shirt and trousers were. But as she was well versed in medicine, she could tell that the man in front of her was probably terminally ill, and would not live long if he did not receive effective treatment. It would be such a pity if such a man died young. "You are sick and dying," Youyou said seriously. It was a statement, not a question. 14, who was standing nearby, couldn't help but gasp when he heard this. Mr. Rong's health has indeed been getting worse recently. Even the top doctors in the country have seen him, but they don't know what to do. But we know it's a matter of time, and no one has ever dared to talk about it openly. The girl in front of me is too ignorant. Yeah. Rong Jun's voice was light, as if he was talking about someone else's life instead of his own. When 14 heard this voice, he couldn't help but feel sorry for his master. He was such an outstanding person. He finished junior high school at the age of 12 and completed his doctoral course at the age of 15. Everyone said he was a genius, but he suffered from an incurable disease. No one knows the cause of the disease, and no one knows how to treat it. I know a little about medicine. Can I give it a try? Youyou said with a faint smile. Rong Jun raised his head and looked at her calmly. The dinner was delicious, let's consider it as a reward. Youyou added. Long-term illness makes a doctor. He already knew whether his illness could be cured. But looking at the girl in front of him, Rong Jun couldn't help but nodded, okay. Rong Jun brought Youyou to a room full of medical equipment. Because he had been ill for many years, he built a ward at home so that the doctor could come at any time. The equipment was complete and Youyou simply checked his body. All his physical indicators are very poor, which does not seem like the skills of a man in his 20s. The cough is a chronic disease he has had since childhood. Although it seems serious, it is not fatal. But what is hard to imagine is his brain. Perhaps because he is too smart, his brain cells are abnormally active. They are overloaded every minute and every second, absorbing the body's energy strongly. I ask you questions. Youyou sat down opposite Rong Jun, age 23. Name: Rong Jun. When was the last time you slept? Lu Youyou asked this question with a serious face and sharp eyes. Rong Jun raised his head and met Lu Youyou's serious and worried gaze, and was stunned for a moment. Then he raised the corners of his mouth and answered gently, "The last time I met you." Chapter 17. That house is nice. This was the first time Lu Youyou saw Rong Jun smile. In her impression, he always looked cold and aloof. Most of the time, she could feel the dead air emanating from him, which was sometimes desperate and dark, like the endless night, without any ripples or traces. And this time, she actually saw life in his eyes, clear and bright. But his answer was something she had never expected. After practicing medicine for many years, she was stunned for a moment. "Is it related to me?" Lu Youyou asked with a little surprise. Rong Jun chuckled and nodded. "The last time I fell asleep was when I was sending you to the Lu family's car." Lu Youyou was even more surprised. "Do you suspect that you fell asleep because of me?" Rong Jun nodded and said sincerely, "Yes." He looked at the surprised expression on the little girl's face and suddenly found it a little funny. No one would believe this kind of thing if he told it to her. "Then let's give it a try." Until the little girl in front of him spoke again, her voice soft and her eyes clear and serious. Question mark. Rong Jun looked at her with some confusion. "Try it." Lu Youyou said and nodded seriously. "Although your health indicators are very poor, you are still young. If you take good care of yourself, your life will not be in danger. I noticed that you have been using sleeping pills for a long time." She pointed at the pills beside her. "You must have started taking them when you were very young. They should hardly be effective now." Rong Jun nodded. "If it's true as you said, I can make you fall asleep, then it should be that a certain point on my body touched your sleep nerve, such as my breathing rate, smell, sound, etc. I didn't say much in the car that day, so it shouldn't be the sound. It's the smell." Rong Jun looked at the girl in front of him with a smile. She had a faint milky scent on her body, which could be smelled when getting close to her. Hearing him say this seriously, Lu Youyou suddenly felt her face turn red. Lu Youyou never thought that one day she would have this role. If the test results were not in front of me, the person in front of me really had not been able to sleep for a long time, which led to a significant decline in physical functions. She even suspected that he was just after her beauty. "Then let's try it where you sleep. You sleep and I'll do my homework," Lu Youyou said. "Okay," Rong Jun replied. So, when the two walked out of the medical room, 14 saw their Master Rong and the little girl, whom he had just met for the second time, walking into Master Rong's bedroom side by side. "Is it a bit too fast?" 14 asked himself. On the other hand, the housekeeper, who had never seen any woman other than his wife in this villa, also smiled with relief. About 2 hours later, when Rong Jun opened his eyes again, he felt more sleepy than ever before. He forced his eyelids open and felt for the first time how warm and comfortable the quilt was. The exhaustion all over his body came over him, as if clamming out his dissatisfaction. There was a warm yellow light in the room. He coughed a few times and forced himself to sit up. Then he saw the girl sitting at the table with her chin resting on her hand. "You look like you slept well." Lu Youyou blinked at him. "Yes." Rong Jun felt as if he had been reborn at this moment. He had insomnia since he was very young. The doctor said that it was because his brain cells were too active that made him unable to fall asleep. He had also received many psychological interventions, but none of them worked, so he started taking sleeping pills since he was a child. "In the first few years, I could still fall asleep with the help of medication, but in recent years it has become very difficult to fall asleep, and I often have to rely on strong injections such as injections to aid my sleep." So when he said that the last time he fell asleep was the last time he saw her, he was not lying at all. "My name is Lu Youyou, you can call me Dr. Lu." Lu Youyou smiled proudly. She didn't expect that she could have such a function. "My name is Rong Jun." Rong Jun raised his eyes, curved his lower lip, and called her Dr. Lu. "Hello, Rong Jun. It's already 10 o'clock today. I have to go home." She looked down at the time. Rong Jun said, and stood up. "I'll take you home." The two walked out of the room. 14 looked down at the time. 2 hours. "It seems that my boss is in good health." In the car, 14 was driving steadily towards the Lu family. "Dr. Lu." Rong Jun called softly, his voice faint, "Will you come to treat me tomorrow?" The street light outside the window fell on his face, flickering, making it difficult to see his expression for a moment. The car was silent for a while. Youyou was silent for a moment, then suddenly smiled and pointed out the window. Look, isn't that villa pretty good? 14 was also very sensible and slowed down the car. Jun looked outside the door and found that he had passed by the Imperial High School again. Youyou was pointing at a small single-family villa opposite the school. Jun turned his head with a smile on his face. It's pretty good. Should I buy it for you? Youyou shook her head and said, I bought it to treat your illness. Jun, ? Youyou, I will go to sleep with you at noon every day. 14 Who is driving? What does that mean? Do you need to take a nap every day? Can their master Rong's body really support such high-intensity exercise? Jun didn't seem to expect that the girl in front of him could make such a bold suggestion. He was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, okay. I'll buy it tomorrow. Youyou nodded with satisfaction. Jun lived too far from her school, and it was impossible for her to go to his room and sleep with him for 2 hours every day. It would be just right to live near the school. She has always had the habit of taking a nap. She has been eyeing the exquisite little villa opposite for a long time. She originally wanted to rent it to take a nap, and now it seems like a good idea. What do you want? Jun suddenly asked. Youyou turned her head and looked at him with some confusion. You help me cure my illness, what do you want? Dr. Lu. Jun slowed down his speech and looked at her seriously. Youyou smiled and said, I'll ask for a favor from you, Jun. I'll tell you when I need you. Good. The car quickly arrived at Lu's house. After saying a brief goodbye to the two people in the car, Youyou got out of the car and returned home. But what she didn't see was that this scene happened to be seen by Lu Qingqing, who was out. Yishan always rides a bike to go to and from school. Today, when school was over, she saw Youyou being picked up by this car that was obviously worth a lot of money, and now it was sending her back at this time. It is self-evident what the two of them did. Lu Qingqing sneered. Her good sister started seducing rich men as soon as she arrived in the imperial capital. She wanted to see, if everyone knew her true face, would she still have the face to stay in school? Chapter 18 This is so delicious. The next day, when Youyou just arrived at the first shift, he found that Lu Qingqing was in a very bad condition. She was sitting in her seat, and when she saw him walk into the classroom, an expression of joy and relief appeared on her face. Then, the next second, she lowered her head dejectedly. Youyou has come back to his senses from the message he received yesterday that Youyou is his sister-in-law. He thought that Qingqing was a good girl and it was normal for the two sisters to have conflicts. He should not be so impulsive in the future and should learn to coordinate their relationship. Since Youyou was chosen by her elder brother, she must have had some outstanding qualities. Qingqing, what's wrong? Youyou walked up to Lu Qingqing and asked with concern. I. Lu Qingqing was so anxious that tears were about to fall out, and Youyou quickly handed her a tissue. Don't be anxious, just speak slowly. Youyou felt very distressed. Lu Qingqing took the tissue and wiped her eyes. There's something I don't know who to tell. Sister. Her eyes were red and she looked pitiful. Youyou quickly asked, what happened to your sister? Don't worry, tell me slowly. Lu Qingqing sobbed a few times and stammered, I saw my sister being picked up by a car after school. There was a man in the car who I didn't know. After 11 o'clock in the evening, I saw that man driving my sister back home. The two of them were very intimate. I don't think that person is like your eldest brother. I don't dare to tell my uncles, but my sister, what she did was wrong. Lu Qingqing spoke with great emotion, wiping away tears as she spoke, I don't know what to do. Brother Yu, how can I persuade my sister? I didn't sleep well last night. Youyou's face was as cold as ice. His elder brother was on a business trip abroad and would not be back until next week. Of course that person couldn't be his elder brother. Are you sure you saw it clearly? Do you know who it is? Youyou asked, frowning tightly. Lu Qingqing shook her head innocently. That man was very tall and strong, and looked very old. Youyou clenched his fists, you are such a worrying sister. Lu Qingqing quickly grabbed Youyou's sleeve and said, don't blame me, sister. I just came from the countryside and it's inevitable that I will be attracted by a little benefit. It's just that I don't know how to persuade my sister. You know, she never listens to me. It's inevitable to be attracted by a little benefit. Does my elder brother still need her money? Does your Lu family still need her money? Youyou was furious. He didn't expect that he had been preparing himself mentally for a whole day and finally accepted that he had a sister-in-law. The next day he told himself that this sister-in-law was cheating on his elder brother. This is really intolerable. Youyou felt like he was going to be pissed off. He took out his cell phone, typed a few words, and clicked send. On the other side, Youyou, who was in a meeting, suddenly received a strange message. Youyou, brother, I heard that you protected that woman and went in and out with other men. Youyou, it's not Mui, it's another man. Youyou, who told you that? Youyou, my classmates saw it. Youyou, it's Lu Qingqing who said that again. Listen to your elder brother. There are so many good girls. Stay away from the second young lady of the Lu family. Youyou, I give you this sentence as it is. Listen to me. There are so many good girls. Stay away from the eldest daughter of the Lu family. The two people parted unhappily. Youyou raised his eyebrows and sent a message to Yang Mui. Youyou, who was catching up on her sleep on the table, was suddenly awakened by her son. What's wrong? Youyou asked sleepily. Yang Mui put the phone in front of her. Youyou, Xiaoyu said your mother had close contact with a man recently. Youyou narrowed her eyes and lay down lazily. It's the person I told you about this morning. He is sick. I will go to see him every noon from now on. Yang Mui said, oh, and typed obediently. Yang Mui, mom said it was her patient, and she was treating him. Among the brothers, the third brother Youyou is an excellent doctor. After Youyou returned to the Youyou family, he encountered several assassination attempts. One time, his intestines fell out and all the doctors said he was beyond saving. He was saved by Youyou. But all the brothers knew that Youyou's medical skills were taught to him personally by their mysterious mother. So when it came to the fact that Youyou had a patient, the two of them had no doubts at all and accepted it very calmly. At noon, Youyou directly refused to have lunch with her son, under the pretext of treatment and free meals, and then came to the door of the small villa opposite the school. The Rong family was extremely efficient, and she could already see a faint light in the room. The door was quickly opened from the inside, and Youyou saw 14. Where's Rong Jun? Youyou looked around but didn't see him. Dr. Lu, please sit down first. Master Rong is cooking. 14 brought her to the dining table and replied in a low voice, because we moved here in a hurry, the chefs haven't come yet, so Master Rong is cooking himself. Youyou was surprised, he can also cook. 14 nodded and looked at the girl in front of him with envy. He had followed Master Rong for more than 10 years, but he had only eaten the meal cooked by Master Rong once, and it was simply the most delicious meal on earth. As they were talking, Rong Jun came out with dishes. He was wearing a set of home clothes, with a calm expression. The gentle light shone on him, and the smoke from the food floated up, making him look a bit more worldly. Perhaps because he slept for a while yesterday, his complexion looked better and the dark circles under his eyes faded a little. Youyou took the dish from his hand. It was a very ordinary scrambled eggs with tomatoes, but it looked very appetizing and she could smell the fragrance as soon as she held it in her hand. You are coughing, so you should stay away from the fumes. Youyou said with a look of disapproval. Okay. Rong Jun smiled. 14 was very tactful and went in to take the remaining dishes. If Youyou experienced what top-notch medicinal food is yesterday, then today she can be said to have experienced what top-notch home cooking is. These are dishes that you can buy in ordinary restaurants, but when you put them in your mouth, you feel like you are eating a luxurious meal. And after the meal, 14 thoughtfully brought a small cake dessert. It melts in your mouth, is sweet and soft, and has a light milky flavor. Did you do this too? Youyou's eyes lit up. This is so delicious. Yeah. Rong Jun nodded. Seeing her eating, he felt in a very good mood for some reason. It was worth it that he started preparing today's lunch since he got up in the morning. I take back what I said just now. Youyou ate the cake with her cheeks puffed out. Rong Jun's eyes showed a hint of doubt. Youyou ate the last bite of cake and when she looked at Rong Jun again, her eyes were full of admiration. Patients can also be exposed to oil fumes occasionally. Rong Jun lowered his eyes and chuckled. How come this little girl is so likable? Chapter 19, Engagement next month. After dinner, Youyou followed Rong Jun to the bedroom. She couldn't help but sigh at how fast Rong Jun acted. He had just finished talking about it last night, but today the entire bedroom had already been cleaned and decorated. Youyou was the first to lift the quilt and plan to lie down on the big bed that looked very soft. Before sitting down, she paused for a second and turned to look at Rong Jun. "Are you a germaphobe?" Rong Jun chuckled. "Not to you." Youyou nodded with satisfaction and pointed to the other side of the bed. "You sleep there, I sleep here, we won't disturb each other." Rong Jun nodded obediently. "Okay, I'll listen to you." After Rong Jun lay down, he soon fell into a sweet dream. He slept very deeply. After sending Youyou home last night, Rong Jun actually fell asleep in a daze, but his sleep was not deep. He could hear any sound outside. But every time it seemed that as long as she was next to him, he could sleep soundly and peacefully. He waited until the girl had been staring at him for a long time before he opened his eyes in confusion. The curtains were drawn tightly, and the whole room was dim, but she looked as bright as the sun. When she saw him open his eyes, she turned on the wall lamp in the room, her eyes full of smiles. "It's time to get up." Her voice was low and soft, as if she was afraid of letting him have a good dream. "Let me check your body." Rong Jun raised his eyelids, rubbed his temples with his hands, and sat up on the bed. "What time is it?" Maybe because he just woke up, his voice was hoarse and a bit seductive. "It's 4 o'clock. Youyou said helplessly. "I'm too late to attend my afternoon classes. Sorry, I haven't slept so deeply in a long time." Rong Jun stood up and sat on the chair cooperatively to cooperate with Youyou's examination. When Rong Jun came over, he brought some basic medical equipment. As Youyou checked his physical data, the smile on her face became brighter. "How do you feel?" Youyou said, resting her chin on her hand. "Very good." Rong Jun replied with a smile on his face, and tiny lights dotted in his dark pupils. "The normal sleep time for a person is 8 hours. Your long-term inability to fall asleep has caused a decline in all aspects of your body's functions. I just looked at your physical data and it seems to be under control for now." Youyou said. "Yes." Rong Jun nodded. He was very satisfied to be able to fall asleep like this. "But I can't sleep with you for a long time, so you still need to find a way to really make yourself fall asleep." Youyou's face became a little serious when she said this. She didn't go to class in the afternoon because she didn't want to disturb his sleep. Although she might not listen even if she went to class, there were always many things that it was not convenient for her to do if outsiders were present. She can only come here for an hour or so every day, which is far from enough for Rong Jun. "Next, let's talk about your cough. It's the same as before. I'll ask you questions and you'll answer them." Rong Jun, "Okay." Youyou, when did you start coughing? Rong Jun, when I was 8 years old, I fell into the water and kept coughing when I woke up. Youyou, what do you like to eat? Rong Jun, nothing I like. Youyou, what do you usually eat? Rong Jun paused for a moment and said, I took you to eat yesterday. Then he raised his head and asked coldly, is there something wrong with the food? Youyou waved her hand, not really. Your medicinal diet is for insomnia, it won't help your cough at all, on the contrary, it may have some side effects. You can consider eating less medicinal food and Chinese medicine from today on. I will give you a cough medicine, which should arrive tomorrow. Good. The two chatted for about an hour, and then Youyou left. Rong Jun originally wanted to send her off, but she refused. She had an appointment with her youngest son to go to the shooting range to practice shooting today, so she naturally couldn't break the appointment. After Youyou left, Rong Jun lay on the sofa alone for a long time. His eyes were closed, but only he knew that he was not asleep at all. It took so long that 14, who was standing next to him, finally couldn't help but walk closer to him, as if he had something to report. He then opened his eyes, and his eyes were once again filled with the same stagnant water that had remained unchanged for thousands of years. What's up? Boss, two things. The first is that you need to go back to attend the school anniversary speech at Imperial High School. The second is that old Master Rome called you and asked you to return the call. Normally, when the Imperial High School invited Master Rome to give a speech, 14 would directly help Master Rome refuse. But now it was different. Dr. Liu was in the Imperial High School. Who knew what Master Rome thought? As expected, Rong Jun tapped his fingers lightly on the sofa and nodded slightly at him. I'll take care of the Imperial High School matters. Yes, boss. 14 responded. Then Rong Jun took the phone and called Old Master Rong. The call was connected quickly. Hey, why don't you answer my call? The person speaking on the other end of the phone was the vigorous Old Master Rong. I was just sleeping, Grandpa. Rong Jun said. It was obvious that Old Master Rong on the other end of the phone was stunned. Wan, can you fall asleep? Old Master Rong looked at the time, which was afternoon. His little grandson could actually fall asleep. Yes, Grandpa, I met a doctor and found a prescription. Rong Jun responded softly. That's great. That's great. Just tell the doctor what he wants. As long as my Rong family has it, we will give him anything. Old Master Rong felt like he was about to cry with emotion. Okay, Grandpa. I'll tell her. Rong Jun replied, Grandpa, is there anything I need today? The old man seldom calls him. Ahem. When talking about business, Mr. Rong's voice became serious. Wan, do you still remember that Grandpa told you that you had an engagement since childhood? Rong Jun lowered his eyes and said nothing. The girl is already 18 years old. The grandfathers have discussed it and are planning to arrange an engagement for you next month. What do you think? Grandpa, you know my physical condition well. The engagement we made when I was a child is not valid. Rong Jun replied softly. Speaking of the little girl, Rong Jun's mind was the image of her waking him up this afternoon. It would be nice if she could wake me up every day, Rong Jun thought. Wan, you had a serious illness when you were 4 years old, and everyone in your family thought you were going to die. It just so happened that the little girl had a difficult birth and has been in the intensive care unit since she was born. Grandpa was desperate and found a fortune teller, who said that the two of you were born to be together, and that if you are not together, you will suffer from many illnesses and disasters. The situation was urgent at the time, and we were desperate to find a cure. Grandpa and Grandpa Lu arranged a marriage for you. But it was so miraculous that the marriage was confirmed, and the two of you who were sentenced to death by the doctor walked out of the gates of hell again. If this isn't fate, then what is? Jun, Grandpa will do whatever you want except this matter. We're getting engaged next month, and you can't say no. Chapter 20. Come be my daughter-in-law. Have you heard? Rongshan has also agreed to come back to participate in the school celebration. Oh my God, is this the glorious God I know? Nonsense, is there another Rongshan in our school? This year's school is too awesome. That's really awesome. I heard that Youyou and Youyou will also be back. I can't wait to see the school anniversary. I heard that it was teacher Liu from class 1 who went to call Youyou. After all, she was the one teaching Youyou's younger brother, so there was no reason for him not to come back. Indeed, I just didn't expect that God Rong would come back. It's such an honor to meet two great male gods at the same time. In the corridor, Youyou just walked in and heard everyone discussing the school anniversary. She walked into class 12, and before she had time to say anything, she saw Youyou rushing towards her. Youyou! Did you know that God Youyou and God Rong will come to attend the school anniversary next week? Youyou's eyes lit up. Youyou looked confused. Huh. These are the two most handsome men in our school. Youyou finished the course that should have taken 3 years in just 1 year, and he got full marks in almost every exam. I would always pay my respects to him before every exam. Rongshan is even more amazing. He was recommended by the Imperial Capital College when he was only in the first year of junior high school, and he completed his doctorate at the age of 18. He is simply a genius. Youyou said calmly, Oh. Youyou, can't you show a little more excitement? Youyou spread her hands innocently. Don't you think I'm more awesome for being a third-year junior high school student? Youyou. You are right, but you didn't get full marks in every exam. Your homework is always blank. When Youyou returned to the classroom, there was only one class left. After sitting down, Yang Mui gave her a caring look. Are you okay? Yang Mui asked. Youyou shook her head. This patient is a little special, so it took a little time. Yang Mui didn't ask any more questions, and the teacher of the last class came in soon. After wasting some time, Youyou stopped daydreaming after class and took out a piece of paper and wrote various chemical formulas. She has a nominal position at the National Institute of Biology, and her latest medicinal ingredient has been repeatedly failing in experiments, so the old men have been trying to get her to participate in the research. She has been studying it for many days and has been calculating since she returned to Jia's house last night. Not long after, the bell for the end of get out of class rang. Before being rescued by Youyou, Yang Mui had been in a killer organization, so his skills had always been the best among the brothers. After returning to the Yang family also set up a shooting range for him. Although it was not a real gun range, it could satisfy his desire to shoot. So he invited Youyou to go with him. After all, it was difficult for him to find an opponent who was equally matched with him. In just 40 minutes, Youyou used about 10 sheets of draft paper. She picked out a few sheets of draft paper with key conclusion information and put them in her bag, then followed Yang Mui out of the classroom. Youyou was in charge of cleaning today, so she left late. When she passed by Youyou's desk, she saw several messy draft papers scattered on the table. She originally just wanted to throw it away as trash, but when she took it, she saw the complicated chemical equation written on it. She considered herself a little science genius, but at this moment, she didn't understand anything. Instead of throwing the paper away, she folded it and put it in Youyou's drawer. When Jiang Peng came over and saw her, he noticed that she was not in a good mood. What's wrong? Youyou raised his head, and suddenly a bold idea came to his mind. Fatty, do you think it's possible that Youyou is actually a big boss? Jiang Peng looked at Youyou in confusion. She is the boss. How can a small fry be able to take down the wild god? Youyou was speechless. That's not what I meant. I mean, is it possible that Youyou is actually a top student? She doesn't do her homework just because she thinks it's too easy. The more Youyou thought about it, the more she felt that what she was thinking might be true. Jiang Peng's expression rarely turned serious. He took a deep breath and said seriously, I think you are right. Youyou, yeah. That's what I feel. Jiang Peng, so look at me. Is it possible that I am also a big shot? I don't do my homework because I think it's too easy. Youyou, get lost. At the shooting range, Yang Mui and Youyou each fired a gun, and the sounds were particularly frequent. If you get closer, you can see that both men's bullets hit the same hole in the 10 ring very accurately, very accurately. At this time, the housekeeper who was standing at the door also received a call from Mrs. Yang. Hello, madam. The young master is practicing shooting at the shooting range. The butler reported, and after hesitating for a while, he added, with a girl. There was silence on the other end of the line for a long moment. Girl? Yes. The housekeeper confirmed, the young master still brought this girl back on his bike. The person on the other end of the phone was so shocked that he couldn't speak. How old is the girl? He even thought it might just be a child. He looks similar to the young master. From what the young master said, he was his classmate at school. Madam Yang? I heard the young master call her Youyou, and I guess she was the young lady from the Liu family. The butler continued to report the information he had obtained with great satisfaction. Mrs. Yang was silent for a while, replied, okay, and then hung up the phone. Then another call was made. Hello, honey. What do you want to talk to me about, Tilda? The voice coming from the other end of the phone was actually Youyou's mother Mu Zhao. Has your daughter Youyou returned home? Asked Mrs. Yang. No, Youyou said she was going out to play with her classmates today. Mu Zhao replied. Mui didn't go home either. Madam Yang said, you know, this kid has been silent and withdrawn since he came back. Later, Old Yang built a shooting range for him, and he likes to stay there when he has nothing to do. He practices shooting and boxing. Mu Zhao was stunned for a moment, not knowing what to say in response. He is very protective of this shooting range. He even doesn't let me go there. Madam Yang said bitterly, but today the housekeeper said that he brought a girl there, saying that she was a classmate. Oh. Mu Zhao understood instantly. You mean, Mui took our Youyou to his secret base? Yes. Madam Yang said, I heard that your Youyou is engaged. Can that engagement be ignored? Do you want to consider letting Youyou be my daughter-in-law? Mu Zhao looked bewildered and didn't even dare to reply on the phone. Meanwhile, Lu Wenk looked at his wife with a puzzled look on his face. What's wrong? Mu Zhao, Wenku, our daughter seems to be in love with the child of the Yang family. Lu Wenk? Is it the cold child from the Yang family who never says hello when he meets people, Yang Mui? Chapter 21. Are you the glory god? A week later. Today is the anniversary of the Imperial High School. The student unions in the school are all very busy. Lu Qingqing, as the current president of the student union, is busy from morning to night. Youyou has always disdained to participate in organizations like the student union, but seeing Lu Qingqing so busy, he still felt distressed, so he has been helping out as a non-staff member. All classes were suspended on the school anniversary day, and from the morning onwards, there were various leaders receiving guests. But what the students were looking forward to the most was undoubtedly the return of two heavyweight male gods to the school to give speeches in the afternoon. It was not until noon that Lu Qingqing finally relaxed after the venue for the lecture was set up. At this time, Youyou had already bought a box lunch and was waiting for her. "Senior Qingqing, you are so lucky." The speaker was a first-year junior high school girl. Lu Qingqing was pretty, was the president of the student union, and had excellent grades. She had always been the object of their envy. Lu Qingqing just smiled shyly and walked towards Youyou. The two found a place and started eating. "Qingqing, you've worked hard these past 2 days," Youyou said with concern. Lu Qingqing shook her head and said with a slightly red face, "This is what I should do." She lowered her head to eat, and the strands of hair around her ears hung down, covering her face. Youyou felt very excited for a moment. He had never wanted to protect a girl so much. Therefore, he felt that his elder brother was deceived by Lu Youyou from class 12. He must take advantage of this school anniversary to expose her. "Your sister still goes to the villa opposite the school every noon." Youyou frowned tightly. "I asked someone to check. The owner of the villa is an old man in his 50s, she is really shameless." Lu Qingqing secretly rejoiced and sighed softly. "Hey, I didn't tell my uncle and aunt. If they knew that my sister did this, how sad they would be." Youyou patted her shoulder and said, "You don't need to blame yourself for what she did wrong." At this time, in the villa owned by an old man in his 50s, Lu Youyou was wearing a casual sportswear and sitting at the table eating a small cake. The food at the Rong family is excellent. Perhaps for convenience, Rong Jun moved almost all of his family assets to this small villa, including his own chef who cooked extremely delicious meals. Life is really wonderful when you can eat delicious food after class every day, take a nap after lunch, and have afternoon tea after waking up. Normally, after Lu Youyou woke up and had afternoon tea, she would go straight to school, but today Rong Jun insisted that she wait, so she ate much slower. Just after finishing the last bite of cake, Lu Youyou suddenly felt a burning gaze coming from the second floor. Lu Youyou raised her head and saw Rong Jun, who was wearing a suit and had a calm expression. It was the first time she saw Rong Jun wearing a suit. He still wore a white shirt underneath with the buttons buttoned up to the top, which covered his once famous collarbone tightly and perfectly set off his slender and tall figure. His usually lazy and casual hair was fixed with hairspray. The lines of his face were perfect, as if they were carved. The white light in the living room made his fair skin look even more delicate. It looks so good. This was Lu Youyou's first feeling. Because she was good-looking, she was actually resistant to appearance, but Rong Jun was really the most handsome man she had ever seen. When I saw him before, he had dark circles under his eyes due to poor sleep, and his spirits seemed to be sluggish. But after 2 weeks of recuperation, his spirits improved significantly, and even his face became more rosy. "Big star, if you go out like this, a group of girls will faint on the spot," Lu Youyou teased. Rong Jun chuckled and walked to her side, his peach blossom eyes full of brilliance. "What about you?" Lu Youyou held her cheek with her hand, then pretended to close her eyes and leaned to the side. I fainted." Rong Jun couldn't help but laugh out loud. 14, who was standing by, had become numb to such scenes. He felt that he was a very qualified light bulb, never interrupting others, and never spreading rumors. Unlike the old housekeeper, who was smiling with satisfaction and secretly typing on his phone. He must be sending a message to his wife, 14 thought to himself. "Let's go. I'll go to school with you." Lu Youyou was finally full and Rong Jun picked up her bag with one hand. Lu Youyou raised her head in confusion. "Are you going to school too?" "I want to see you off," Rong Jun said sincerely, and then said a little aggrievedly, "Is it not possible?" Lu Youyou nodded quickly. Sure. The two then walked out of the villa side by side. Rong Jun's outfit today was so eye-catching that from the moment she entered the school, she could feel countless eyes on her. Youyou informed her yesterday that it was the school anniversary today and she didn't need to wear the school uniform. She was actually not upset at all, as it was just a very ordinary and convenient sportswear. But at this moment, almost all the girls around were dressed up, except her, who was without makeup, and there was a very handsome man standing next to her. It's understandable why everyone looks at her with envy. Even when they walked outside the school lecture hall, Rong Jun was still beside her. She finally couldn't help herself and said, "Rong Jun, just send me here. Go ahead and do whatever you need to do." He was dressed so formally, so maybe something important was going to happen this afternoon. Rong Jun said, "Oh." Unlike at home, his face was cold and his tone was very calm outside. At this moment, Rong Jun's cell phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. He hesitated for a while but finally answered it. "Hello, is this Mr. Rong Junro? I am Lu Qingqing, the president of the Student Union of Imperial High School. You have a speech this afternoon. Where are you? Do you need me to pick you up?" Youyou immediately realized the voice on the other end of the phone was her sister, but she couldn't hear clearly what was said. "I'll go there myself." Rong Jun replied indifferently and then hung up the phone. Youyou looked at him with confusion. "Youyou, do you know that today is the anniversary of Imperial High School?" Rong Jun asked softly, and the word Youyou sounded very charming when he called her. Youyou felt her face getting hot for a moment, and she nodded, "I know." Rong Jun raised his hand and couldn't help but touch her head. Along the way, everyone knew that he was Rong Jun who came back to school to give a speech. Only the little fool in front of him thought that he was really here to send her to school. Youyou looked confused. "I feel like you are laughing at me. But I have no evidence." "Rong Jun, today is the school anniversary, I came back to give a speech." Youyou? Youyou, are you the Rong Jun they are talking about? Rong Jun. Doesn't he look like it? Chapter 22 Son, Mom is here. Yesterday, when Youyou was describing to her how awesome Youyou and Rongshan were, she felt very dismissive. Forget about Youyou, but her son was naturally awesome. How awesome could Rongshan be? But today, I saw that God Rong was actually Rong Jun. That's really awesome. After separating from Rong Jun, Youyou found Yang Mui. "Brother has gone backstage, why did you come back just now?" Yang Mui asked with a little dissatisfaction. His mother has been running to the small villa opposite the school every day recently. He didn't know what kind of patient needed her to go every day. It really gave him face. Youyou comforted her son, and the two walked to the lecture hall side by side. Youyou's speech started at 2:30, and now it was less than 2 o'clock, but the lecture hall was already packed with people. As a well-known figure in the business world, there were also many reporters at the scene, blocking the entire venue. Fortunately, Youyou had someone reserve a seat in advance, so Youyou followed Yang Mui, and the two of them quickly came to the front row and sat down, and were also met with jealous gazes from everyone. Having not seen her eldest son for more than 10 years, Youyou was actually nervous. The moment Youyou came on stage, she looked at him intently. Youyou was wearing a dark blue suit, which perfectly showed off his tall and straight figure. Different from Rong Jun's reserved and noble temperament, Youyou had deep facial features, sword-like eyebrows and bright eyes, and had a heroic, clean and neat feeling. Youyou could clearly feel that after Youyou walked onto the stage, the atmosphere in the audience suddenly became intense, and the sound of crazy clicking photos could be heard in her ears. During the speech, Youyou could clearly feel that Youyou was looking in her direction. Youyou rested her chin on her hand and looked carefully at her eldest son, who was once the most stubborn and the one who gave her the least trouble. She felt as if she was in another world. "Mui, your brother is already 26 or 27 years old. Does he have a girlfriend?" Youyou asked with concern. Yang Mui frowned slightly and shook his head, "Probably not." "Oh, he's so outstanding, what kind of girl can be worthy of him?" Youyou felt herself getting worried and anxious. She had 5 sons, and she didn't know where to find 5 girls worthy of her 5 sons. I don't know how much the bride price is and whether she can afford it. But her son is so awesome, he shouldn't ask her to pay for the bride price, right? There is no need to worry about the relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. After all, she is a very worry-free mother-in-law. Yang Mui, who was standing aside, had no idea that his adoptive mother had worried to this extent. Youyou's speech on the stage soon entered the final question and answer session. A girl raised her hand first, and Youyou nodded to her gentlemanly, signaling the host to pass the microphone to her. The girl turned out to be the first-year student in the student union who was with Lu Qingqing in the morning. It can be seen that the girl is dressed up today. She has delicate makeup on, wears a pleated miniskirt, and has slightly curly hair. She gives people the feeling of a sweet student sister. Senior Youyou, I would like to ask what your criteria for choosing a partner are. After the girl finished speaking, there were sighs from the audience and she sat down shyly. Youyou smiled at the audience in a gentlemanly manner and took over the topic. I hope my future partner is a strong and confident person, who should have the ability and wisdom that is not inferior to mine. As soon as Youyou finished speaking, everyone's faces were half disappointed and half excited. They were excited because they suddenly had the motivation to study, but they were disappointed because how many people could really be as good as Youyou. Only Lu Youyou looked worried after hearing these words. Lu Youyou tugged at the corner of Yang Mui's clothes and said, "Son, you can't learn your brother's standards for choosing a spouse. It's not easy to find such an outstanding girl." Yang Mui's expression remained unchanged as he said, "I think what Big Brother said is very good." Lu Youyou became even more worried. After Youyou finished his speech, the two of them sneaked backstage and met Lu Qingqing and Youyou. Lu Qingqing was wearing a black and gold dress, which made her look very elegant and graceful. She was the president of the student union and also today's guest performer. Lu Qingqing had been called the Little Piano Princess since she was a child. After Youyou and Rong Jun's speeches, she would also go on stage to perform. Youyou was always by her side, helping her hold water and makeup bag, and had the aura of a little boyfriend. "Why are you here?" Youyou had a cold look on his face and was very rude to the woman in front of him who had cheated on his elder brother. Yang Mui subconsciously blocked Lu Youyou behind him and said coldly, "Wasn't he the beating you received last time enough?" Youyou was about to speak when he was stopped by Lu Qingqing. "You two should stop arguing." Her voice was soft and weak, and she immediately stopped Youyou. "Sister, are you here to see Senior Youyou?" A lot of people came to see him just now, but he refused to see anyone. Lu Qingqing looked at Lu Youyou's outfit today and almost laughed out loud. Everyone was dressed up today, but she, as a good sister, was only wearing a sports outfit. It was so silly. I don't know what Yang Mui sees in her. Maybe they were all raised outside since they were young, so they sympathize with each other. Lu Qingqing thought with a sneer. Lu Youyou was so eager to see her son that she didn't want to pay any attention to the two people who were looking for trouble. She just walked around them and went inside. The waiting room was at the backstage. Lu Youyou saw that the door was ajar, so she pushed it open and said happily, "Son, Mom is here to see you." When I looked up, I was met with Rong Jun's somewhat surprised expression. "Lu Youyou, why is it you?" "Rong Jun, why can't it be me?" "Lu Youyou, where is Youyou?" Rong Jun pointed to the room opposite. "It's across the street." "Lu Youyou, how come it's like a maze?" This time, without waiting for her to find someone, Youyou heard the noise here and opened the door. Then he saw his adoptive mother, who was wearing a sports outfit, with her hair casually tied up on top of her head. She had no makeup on but was still stunningly beautiful. Exactly the same as it was more than 10 years ago. He finally understood why Yang Mui was so sure that this was their adoptive mother. No one could imitate her, and no one could pretend to be her. She just looked at herself with a bright smile on her face. It was as if he had returned to that year, when he had just come out of an underground boxing ring, his body covered with scars, and a smiling woman rescued him. He said to her with a fierce look on his face, "It's no use trying to please me. Even though you bought me, I will never take medicine and go on stage." She touched his head earnestly and said, "I didn't buy you." Then he knocked down the man who was chasing him with one punch and said to him, "You are the unlucky little bastard I snatched from the underground boxing ring. From today on, I am your mother. You don't have to go to the underground boxing ring to fight anymore. I will send you to school. You must study hard and become a good person." It was a sunny day. It was also the day of his rebirth. Chapter 23. She is not your sister-in-law. The two looked at each other. Lu Youyou smiled like a flower and gave her eldest son a big hug. Youyou held his mother in his arms, feeling deeply moved. Who could have thought that the mother had such an ability that while they were growing older, she could rejuvenate and start growing up again? "I'm really not used to it." Rong Jun, who was in the opposite room, looked at the two people hugging coldly, with his fists clenched tightly. He needed a lot of willpower to control himself from hitting Youyou in the face. At this moment, a voice suddenly came from the corridor. "Senior Youyou, we're sorry." This person forced his way in. "We'll drive him away immediately." A group of student union members came in and tried to stop Youyou from leaving. Yang Mui turned sideways, and a man stood in front of him, emitting cold air, which instantly weakened the momentum of the person who rushed in. Everyone stopped and looked surprised when they saw the girl in Ji Yushin's arms. "Who is that girl? Is she Ji Yushin's girlfriend?" At the end of the corridor, Lu Qingqing and Ji Youyou also arrived quickly. Ji Youyou frowned as he looked at the woman held in his brother's arms. He was so angry that he blurted out the words he had been holding back for a long time. "Brother, do you know that she goes to sleep with an old man every noon?" Lu Youyou plus Ji Youyou plus Yang Mui plus the sleeping old man Rong Jun. Ji Youyou let Lu Youyou go, looked at his silly brother and the woman next to him, frowned, and said sternly, "Come here." Ji Youyou bit his lip, mustered up the courage to stand beside Lu Qingqing, pointed at Lu Youyou with an angry look on his face, and said, "I won't. I will never accept this woman as my sister-in-law." Ji Youyou plus Lu Youyou plus Yang Mui. Ji Youyou frowned. "Who told you that she is your sister-in-law?" Now it was Ji Youyou's turn to be stunned. He looked at his eldest brother with a look of disbelief. "Didn't you say she was someone you were protecting? Is the person you are protecting your sister-in-law?" Ji Youyou suspected that his brother had become stupid from reading too much. After hearing this conversation, everyone was a little confused, except Rong Jun, who quietly loosened his clenched fist. He leaned against the wall and listened, and his expression became much gentler. "That's good. It seems that the little girl and Ji Youyou don't have that kind of relationship." Ji Youyou was completely stunned. If she wasn't his sister-in-law, why did his elder brother and Yang Mui take care of her so much? Could it be that his elder brother only took care of her because she was Yang Mui's girlfriend? This line of thought was very reasonable, and Ji Youyou believed it instantly. Otherwise, how could he explain that Yang Mui had been protecting Lu Youyou since the first day she entered school? Ji Youyou immediately raised his head and stared at Yang Mui fiercely. "Why didn't you tell you that you are her boyfriend?" Yang Mui, who was shot innocently, frowned. "I'm not her boyfriend. I am her son." Ji Youyou. "Then whose girlfriend is she?" Lu Youyou looked confused. "I'm single." Hearing this, Rong Jun on the side lowered his head, with the corners of his mouth slightly raised. Ji Youyou seemed to have suddenly thought of something. "I know." He pointed at Lu Youyou. "You go to the villa opposite the school every noon. I asked someone to check and found that the owner of the villa is an old man in his 50s. Par." As soon as he finished speaking, Ji Youyou was slapped hard by Ji Youyou. Ji Youyou covered his face, feeling extremely aggrieved. Lu Qingqing, who was standing beside him, hid behind him, looking at the gloomy Ji Youyou. In her impression, Ji Youyou had always been gentle and elegant, and she had never seen Ji Youyou being so brutal. "Brother, why did you hit me? I will only say this once, so listen to me clearly with your brain full of paste." Ji Youyou looked at him expressionlessly. "Youyou is the savior of Xia and me. Without her, we would have died a long time ago. We know what kind of person she is many times better than you do. I don't want to hear any disrespectful words from you again. She's not my girlfriend, nor is she Ono's girlfriend, but she's more important than anyone else. Of course, she's much more important than you, do you understand?" Ji Youyou's voice was so powerful that Ji Youyou froze in place. Lu Qingqing, who was standing behind him, was so frightened that she didn't hear what Ji Youyou was saying at all. Seeing that Ji Youyou hadn't spoken, Ji Youyou walked up to him, pulled him up by his shirt, narrowed his eyes and asked, "Do you understand?" Ji Youyou nodded blankly. Ji Youyou put him down and said, "You should be glad that you are my brother, otherwise, with what you just said, you would have died countless times." They knew best how skilled his mother was. Ji Youyou then looked at Lu Qingqing behind Ji Youyou. Lu Qingqing was so scared that she sat down on the ground. He said coldly, "Lu Qingqing, right? Just be a good Miss Lu and don't cause trouble. Otherwise, don't blame me for not reminding you." Lu Qingqing felt that every muscle in her body was trembling with fear, and she nodded. "Let's go." Ji Youyou turned around and called out. Lu Youyou and Yang Mui followed him forward. After taking a step, Lu Youyou felt someone pulling the corner of her clothes. She turned her head and saw Rong Jun's smiling face. I'll come too. Lu Youyou was a little confused. Don't you have to give a speech later? Rong Jun shook his head. No more talking. Then he looked at Ji Youyou and Lu Qingqing with a cold face. They said I was a 50-year-old man and offended me. Everyone. Lu Youyou then said, oh, pointed at Rong Jun, and looked at her two sons. Let me introduce you, this is Rong Jun, I go to treat him every noon now. Mr. Rong, I've heard a lot about you. Ji Youyou said. The two of them had known each other for a long time, and greeting each other at this time was actually just to give face to his adoptive mother. Hello. This was the first time Yang Mui met Rong Jun. He had never been very interested in the Beijing circle, so he was just saying hello casually. Hello. Rong Jun responded. The four of them left the backstage together. After everyone left, Lu Qingqing came back to her senses. She quickly wiped the tears from her eyes, walked to Ji Youyou, took out a handkerchief and wiped his face. Brother Yu, are you okay? Does it hurt? How can big brother be so fierce? Ji Youyou gently patted Lu Qingqing's hand away and said in a low and hoarse voice, Qingqing, didn't you say that you saw an old man in his 50s? Lu Qingqing quickly explained, I really saw it, Brother Yu, don't you think it's strange? Young Master Rong has been ill for so long, and so many doctors can't cure him. My sister hasn't even been to school, how can she cure young Master Rong? Ji Youyou frowned slightly, but still stood up alone and stopped Lu Qingqing from approaching. Don't follow me, let me think about it myself. Ji Youyou left the backstage. The student union members who had been trembling and watching the whole process looked at Lu Qingqing and said tremblingly, President, what should we do? It's Rongshan's turn to go on stage. Chapter 24 Young Master Rong, please wait a moment. The Principal's Office of Imperial High School. Vice President Dong Zhizhen was sitting in his office, listening to Liu Xiaotong's report. The principal of the Imperial High School is almost at retirement age, and he is obsessed with academic research, so most of the school affairs are handed over to Dong Zhilai. He specially assigned the work of organizing this school anniversary to his right-hand assistant Liu Xiaotong. Liu Xiaotong graduated from a prestigious university with a high degree. The key is that she is young and has a quick mind. He is very satisfied with her just because she was able to invite Ji Youyou and Rong Jun back to school. It's not just about the influence of Ji Youyou and Rong Jun on the school. Behind these two big men is the Ji Youyou family and the Rong family. If either family donates a little to the school can move to a higher level. They have always supported these big men. Is the Lu Youyou you mentioned the daughter of the Lu family? Liu Xiaotong was reporting the progress of the matter to her. When he heard a somewhat unfamiliar name, he interrupted and asked. Liu Xiaotong nodded, yes. She is Lu Qingqing's sister, but I heard that this girl was raised in the countryside by the Lu family since she was a child. She is very ignorant and has repeatedly affected Ji Youyou's studies. Vice Principal Dong felt a little hesitant. Although he might not be favored, the Lu family was still behind him. But it turned out to have affected Ji Youyou. If the Ji Youyou family came to his house in the morning, he didn't know how to explain. At this time, Liu Xiaotong's phone rang. Sorry. She hung up once, but found that the phone continued to ring. Vice Principal Dong nodded at her and said, you answer it. Okay. She then answered the phone, and the person on the other end of the line was a student from the student union. What? You said Rong Jun suddenly didn't attend the speech. Liu Xiaotong's face changed when she heard the voice on the other end of the phone and she asked loudly. Even Vice Principal Dong standing next to him suddenly stood up from his chair. Yes, Mr. Liu. Just now, the seniors had an argument backstage, and Senior Rong Jun just left, saying that they had offended him. Who is arguing there? Liu Xiaotong asked. I saw Lu Youyou and Yang Mui, but I don't know the details. The person on the other end of the phone was about to cry, what should I do? Senior Qingqing has already gone up to perform, and the audience is asking when Senior Rong Jun will go on stage. Lu Youyou, it's Lu Youyou again. She is such a troublemaker. Liu Xiaotong said, gritting her teeth. What's going on? Vice Principal Dong asked. Although Rong Jun was arrogant, once he came, he would not leave without a special reason. Lu Youyou offended Rong Jun, and he left immediately. Liu Xiaotong said, she is such a troublemaker. I have never stopped having problems since she came. Principal, our school really can't accept people with connections anymore. She has seriously affected the reputation of our school. Vice Principal Dong frowned, looking unhappy. He originally wanted not to offend either side, but Youyou was ignorant and rushed forward, so he couldn't blame him for being merciless. Do you know where young Master Rong went? Asked Vice Principal Dong. Liu Xiaotong turned on the speakerphone. I saw him going towards the school gate. He should still be at school now. The student on the other end of the phone answered. Please move the following program forward. I'll go and invite young Master Rong. Vice Principal Dong said as he picked up his coat and hurried out. On the other side, Youyou and her group of 4 were walking on the road, and the atmosphere was a little weird. Youyou hadn't seen her eldest son for a long time, so she was very happy chatting with Youyou in the front. Behind them, Yang Mui and Rong Jun, 2 taciturn people, walked in silence without saying a word, and no one knew what they were thinking. Mr. Rong, please wait a moment. Suddenly, a panting voice came from behind. The 4 of them stopped and turned around to see a man in his 40s, dressed in a suit. Youyou knew this person. He was Dong Ji, the vice principal of the Imperial High School. Rong Jun looked at the man in front of him calmly without saying a word. Mr. Rong, I'm Dong Ji, the principal of the Imperial High School. Vice Principal Dong said enthusiastically and quickly handed him a cigarette. Youyou and Youyou couldn't help but laugh when they saw this action. Rong Jun was in poor health, and this was known to the entire aristocratic circle in Beijing. Passing a cigarette to Rong Jun was like saying, go to hell soon. But Rong Jun has never been a person who shows his emotions. He just frowned slightly and shook his head at the person in front of him. Vice Principal Dong took back the cigarette awkwardly. Mr. Rong, I'm sorry, we students don't know how to speak, and we offend you. You come back so rarely, and there are so many junior students waiting for you to share their learning experiences. If you leave like this, I'm afraid you will hurt your classmates' feelings. Don't worry, we will deal with the student who offended you seriously, and we will also strengthen our daily teaching work. We also hope that you will not let the inappropriate behavior of a few students affect other students in the Imperial affiliated high school. The apology was well reasoned and full of sincerity. Rong Jun was almost convinced by his words. But, he continued directly. I'll ask our homeroom teacher to contact Youyou and ask her to come and apologize to you. Rong Jun. Everyone. Seeing Rong Jun remain silent, Dongji was a little unsure of what this gentleman was thinking, and then he spoke tentatively. We can also expel this student if you want. It was obvious that the air around Dao Rongjuan had become a little colder. When he raised his head again, his brows seemed to be covered with frost. There were often rumors in the industry that when the young master of the Rong family was not angry, he was the black and white impermanence, without any emotional changes, but when he was angry, he was surer, and if you stood in front of him, it would be as if you were walking into hell. Dongji really felt this feeling, and he kept taking a step back. At this time, Liu Xiaotong, who had been feeling a little uneasy, also followed from behind and supported Dongji, who was falling backwards. Principal Dong, what's wrong with you? Liu Xiaotong asked while turning her head to look at a few people. Rong Jun should be among them. She thought so, but her eyes suddenly fell on the woman standing behind her with a faint smile on her face. Isn't he that the culprit Youyou? She pointed at Youyou and shouted, Why are you here? Dongji asked in a trembling voice, Who is she? Liu Xiaotong didn't pay attention to the atmosphere at the scene for a moment, and poured out everything in her mind. She is the Youyou I told you about. Not only did she affect Youyou's studies in our class, but she also offended Rong Xiao. She is simply enough. Dongji interrupted her. He saw with his own eyes Youyou walking with several big guys. How could there be a contradiction with that level of intimacy? Chapter 25 received, okay, thank you. The atmosphere at the scene was a little awkward for a moment. Rong Jun looked at the 2 people in front of him calmly, and said without a trace of emotion, Dongji, everything should be explained in cause and effect. It seems that the students of Imperial High School are full of lies. Even an old man like you have been fooled. He spoke softly, but every word was on point, and every word seemed to slap Dongji in the face. After he finished speaking, he turned his head and looked at everyone, and said, Let's go. Youyou turned her head mercilessly and continued walking forward, pulling her eldest son. The 2 of them were chattering about something. When they reached the gate, Youyou was stunned for a moment, then tilted her head, Shall we go eat? I'll treat you. Youyou said considerately, "No need, Mom. Youyou, I know a delicious steakhouse nearby. Let's go there to eat." Yang Mui nodded in agreement. Rong Jun pointed to the villa across from the school, looked at Youyou with a gentle look that Youyou and Yang Mui had never seen before, and said softly, "Want to eat at my house?" Youyou, whose appetite had long been spoiled by the small kitchen of Rong Jun's house, immediately lit up. "Great. Son. Let me tell you, the dishes cooked by Rong Jun's chef are delicious." "Son?" This was the second time Rong Jun heard Youyou call Youyou like that, and a hint of doubt flashed through his mind. Youyou nodded lovingly, looked at Rong Jun politely, and replied, "Okay, then we'll bother you. Xiaoyi is coming too." Youyou looked at Yang Mui expectantly. Yang Mui hesitated for a while, but finally nodded. The four of them quickly reached the villa. It was different from what Youyou thought. He originally thought that Rong Jun's residence should be quiet and cold, but unexpectedly, the first feeling when he walked into the villa was warmth, not coldness. There are two pairs of slippers on the shoe rack at the entrance, one pair is pink and the other pair is blue, which look very coordinated. Youyou scratched her head embarrassedly, "Because I have to come here to treat Rong Jun every day, I put a pair of slippers here." Yang Mui plus Youyou. When the two looked at each other, they couldn't help but feel a sense of crisis that, "It's going to rain and my mother is going to get married." When Youyou looked at Rong Jun again, he was already wearing tinted glasses and had a critical look. At the dinner table, Youyou and Rong Jun were at loggerheads. Youyou was the current head of the Youyou family. Although Rong Jun was less concerned about Rong family affairs due to health reasons, the game between two industry insiders who were known as geniuses was truly a big drama. Every word Youyou said was full of aggression, but Rong Jun could easily resolve it. The two of them went back and forth. It was very exciting. If there were people in the industry present, they would definitely feel that they had learned a very valuable lesson. However, there were two people at the scene. One was Yang Mui, who was not interested in these things at all. He ate meat seriously and didn't care what his elder brother was talking to Rong Jun about. In his opinion, Rong Jun's small body would never beat him. If Rong Jun dared to bully his mother, he would fight back. The other is Youyou, who is addicted to food. She thinks her eldest son and Rong Jun are a good match. Both of them are excellent. Didn't her eldest son say that he hopes his future partner will be a strong and confident person? The two of them don't have to be dragged down by the other, but can move forward together. Love that goes both ways can be said to be very beautiful. She is an open-minded mother and doesn't care about gender. Just thinking about this, I don't know why, but I felt a little blocked in my heart and not very happy. Maybe this is the sadness of a grown-up son no longer under the control of his mother. Youyou comforted her. But 14, who was standing aside, couldn't understand it at all. Why on earth did the boss bring two rivals home to have dinner together? Is it to live a life that is good for all four of them? After they had eaten and drunk their fill, it was almost 9 o'clock. Youyou asked her two sons to take her home, and repeatedly told Rong Jun to go to bed early. Youyou had heard that the young master of the Rong family suffered from insomnia and was in poor health. This time, he was not as weak as the rumors said. He must have received effective treatment. But it was normal, after all, his mother had taken care of him personally. He is even more powerful than the number one genius Dr. Wei Ran. After the three people left, the Rong family quickly returned to silence. Rong Jun sat alone on the sofa for a long time. He leaned back on the sofa, put his hands lightly on his eyes, and greedily breathed in her scent that remained in the air. Sometimes he wondered if he was a pervert, otherwise why would he be obsessed with the smell of a girl? "I can't sleep without her by my side. I dream about it day and night." Boom. 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 There was a sudden knock on the door. Rong Jun put down his hand and stood up suddenly. "She is the only one who comes here. Is she back?" After opening the door, I found a courier boy wearing a baseball cap and courier uniform standing outside. Rong Jun's entire body turned cold instantly. He looked at the person in front of him coldly. "Who are you?" "He has never sent anything to this address." "I'm delivering a package." The delivery guy replied, and then took out a box from behind. "Here, it's yours, an expedited package. It looks like it's medicine." "Medicine?" Rong Jun seemed to have thought of something. You can consider eating less medicinal food and Chinese medicine from today on. I will give you a cough medicine. He took the box and signed for the delivery. At this moment, WeChat suddenly lit up. Youyou, I saw the medicine was signed for. Did you receive it? Youyou, the medicine I prescribed for you is 1 pill 3 times a day. You should take it for a course of treatment and then we will check it out. Rong Jun's mouth corners curled up unconsciously. He closed the door and walked to the table with the express delivery. 14, boss, I can just go and pick up the package. Rong Jun ignored her and typed a few words carefully on his phone. Rong Jun, got it. Okay. Thank you. Then he opened the package very carefully and preciously. 14. You pretend I didn't say anything. It was the same night, and the crisp sound of keyboards could be heard in the Lu Club. A very handsome man was wearing headphones at this time, looking at the screen intently, his long and white fingers tapping quickly on the keyboard. On his screen, the enemy quickly fell. After finishing the game, he lazily turned his head and looked at the club's agent. Old boy, what do you want from me? The Alliance is going to organize a college league. This league is led by various clubs and organized teams. The Imperial College is a well-established and powerful school, so I'll leave this matter to you. Chapter 26. There was a master. After the school celebration, Youyou resumed her normal campus life. She went to school in the morning, solved chemical formulas in class, went to Rong Jun's house for a nap at noon, and continued her class in the afternoon. A month passed quickly, and during this month, Lu Qingqing also talked about random things at the weekly family dinner. Fortunately, not only Lu Youyou's parents, but also Mr. Lu didn't respond to her at all, so she felt embarrassed every time she spoke. After dinner today, Grandpa Lu kept her and her parents. After everyone left, Grandpa Lu, leaning on his crutches, started the topic of tonight. The first question. Youyou, Grandpa heard that the Yang family kid takes good care of you in school. Youyou nodded sincerely, yes. Then she paused and added, of course, I also take good care of him. Grandpa Lu was silent for a while, then looked at Dad and Mom Lu who had been silent beside him, and his face showed great hesitation. If you have anything to say, just tell me. I can handle it. Could it be that their family and the Yang family have a life and death feud, so they can't have any dealings with each other? Youyou thought. The three of them looked at each other, and finally it was Old Man Lu who withstood the pressure. Youyou, do you have a deep relationship with that kid from the Yang family? It's deep. Youyou said as a matter of course. After all, he was the son she had raised for so many years. Mr. Lu's expression looked even more difficult. Then, can you guys still break up? Youyou? Why do you want to cut off contact? She couldn't accept cutting off contact with her son whom she had reunited with after a long separation. Mr. Lu sighed, looked worried, and said nothing. It was Father Lu who finally stood up at the critical moment. His voice was gentle and elegant. Youyou, Mom and Dad never had the chance to tell you. You have been engaged to the young master of the Rong family since you were a child. As you are an adult, both parties should hold an engagement ceremony as a matter of course. Of course, this is not all about family marriage, and we didn't bring you back just to let you marry and consolidate the family's status. You were seriously ill when you were just born, and the doctors said you couldn't be saved. At this time, the Rong family found an old fortune teller, who said that you and the young master of the Rong family have similar fates, and the two of you must be together in order to live long. It just so happened that the young master of the Rong family was also dying of illness, so your grandfather and Grandpa Rong arranged a verbal marriage for the two of you. Strangely enough, the marriage was arranged, and both of you were pulled back from the brink of death and gradually recovered. The old man also said that you couldn't come into contact with your blood relatives until you were 18, so we kept you out for so many years and didn't even dare to see them. I didn't tell you before because I didn't know how to start the conversation, but now Dad thinks you have the right to know. Lu Weng's voice was very rational and gentle, and he explained things very clearly. Youyou had previously guessed the reason why she was sent away from some fragments of communication, and today she finally knew the full story. I don't know what level of fortune teller he is to be able to calculate such a wonderful result. What does it mean that two people must be together to live long? Does it mean that if they are not together, they will die immediately? She actually didn't believe in this kind of thing which had no scientific basis at all. But now there is something more important than this. So, what does what Dad said have to do with Xie? Lu Youyou asked with a confused look on her face. Makino's surname isn't Rong either. Said his last name was Rong. Lu Youyou had a bold idea for some reason, and a cool and gentle face suddenly appeared in her mind. But she didn't notice that her grandfather, father and mother all looked worried. After a pause, Mother Lu spoke with concern. Youyou, if you and Makino are truly in love, I will help you to reject this marriage. Lu Youyou? What is true love? She and Makino have a pure mother-son relationship. She finally understood why the three of them had been hesitant since the beginning of the conversation about this topic. Feelings were waiting for her here. Youyou, Daddy respects your choice. The kid from the Yang family is actually quite good except that he doesn't talk. Dad, Mom, Grandpa, you misunderstood. Lu Youyou said with a smile. She began to think about how to explain this to her parents. After all, Yang Mui was older than her, and no matter how she explained it, it wouldn't make sense. Grandpa Lu plus Mom Lu plus Dad Lu. My relationship with Mui is not what you think. Lu Youyou said seriously, Mui really takes good care of me. We are close friends. There is no romance between us. Anyway, she understands everything his son likes, so she can be considered a confidant. So Makino took you to the shooting range? Mother Lu asked hesitantly. Because I was very interested, he took me there. And it turned out that I am indeed a genius. I play better than him. Lu Youyou boasted without blushing. Mother Lu plus Father Lu. Grandpa Lu, my granddaughter actually has a talent for shooting? Your grandpa was really good at shooting when he was young. Lu Youyou, wow. When Grandpa is free, let's go to Makino's shooting range to practice Tilder. Grandpa Lu, oh, those are for you kids to play with. Grandpa will take you to play something more exciting later. Lu Youyou, great, great. Thank you, Grandpa. Mom Lu plus Dad Lu, aren't you guys somewhat off topic? So, Youyou, you are actually not opposed to this marriage? Father Lu asked worriedly. The young master of the Rong family is actually quite outstanding. He is handsome and smart. He completed his doctorate at the age of 15. It's just that his health is not very good. Mother Lu's face was full of worry. The master said that they will be together forever. Grandpa Lu said confidently, since the master was able to pull Youyou and the Rong family kid back from the brink of death 18 years ago, I believe he will be able to do it 18 years later. The three of them looked at Lu Youyou together. Lu Youyou hesitated for a while and asked the bold idea in her mind. The young master of the Rong family you are talking about is called Rong Jun. His surname is Rong, he is handsome, a talented boy who completed his doctorate at the age of 15, but he is not in good health. Apart from Rong Jun, she could hardly imagine anyone else who could meet these requirements. Sure enough, the three of them nodded together. Mother Lu, do you know him? I've heard of it. Lu Youyou answered conservatively. If the three people in front of them knew that Rong Jun's insomnia was cured by her, no, to be more precise, it was cured by the smell of her body. Doesn't that mean we have to ask the Rong family to carry her back right now? Chapter 27 Let's try a kiss. The fact that she was engaged to Rong Jun made Lu Youyou start to think seriously about her own life. When she was doing missions in various fast travel worlds in the past, she had seen countless happy endings with the hero and the heroine being together. Her dream was to be able to return to the parallel world and find a reliable partner to accompany her for the rest of her life. She is not a single person. She has been single just because she has not considered this aspect. Her parents' sudden mention caught her off guard. Recalling her encounter and acquaintance with Rong Jun, every single one of them was so coincidental that it seemed like something that could only be written about in a book. She returned to the capital and took the wrong bus. Instead of kicking her out, he sent her to her destination. He found that he could help cure his illness, so he met her at the school gate, and she gladly cured him. The two were just ordinary friends. Suddenly her family told her that they had been engaged to each other since childhood. Lu Youyou began to recall the time they spent together and started to think about whether she liked Rong Jun or not. To be fair, she felt really comfortable being with Rong Jun. He would prepare everything for her in every possible way and silently observed her picking green onions while eating. From then on, there were no green onions in any of the dishes made in the Rong family's small kitchen. Very caring and warm, like a perfect boyfriend. But does she really like him? And, does he like her? She had just returned to the capital for 2 months and she knew that she was engaged. Didn't he know? Lu Youyou was in a dilemma. I even opened my WeChat friends box and started asking frantically. You God. What do you want from me? I have a friend who is not sure whether she likes someone or not. What should she do? How about letting your friend try some intimate actions with the person he likes? What do you mean by intimate actions? For example, a kiss. If you don't hate it after the kiss, then you probably like it. Youyou felt that the otaku's idea, was not very reliable. Then he asked his eldest son Youyou, who seemed to be an old hand in the love field. Youyou, I have a friend who is not sure whether she likes someone or not. What should she do? Youyou, Mom, whoever you like, I will tie him up for you. Youyou, it's my friend. Not me. Youyou, well, Mom, I'll take someone your friend likes to her. Youyou expressed her disappointment with her eldest son. Such a big president can only use such a dirty trick. He deserves to be single for 26 years. Humph. She thought carefully about the people in her friend list who might really know about this, then opened the chat box with Youyou and typed in a question. Yushin, I am memoizing English words right now, so it is hard for me to have time to think about such a challenging question. Youyou, okay then, keep going. Is it really challenging? Youyou suddenly began to feel that Bia's suggestion seemed to be the most reliable. So she opened Rong Jun's chat box. Youyou, Rongjuan, are you free? She nervously sent a message, and the other party replied almost immediately. Rongjun, yes. Clean and neat, without any drag. Youyou, I need your help with an experiment. Where are you? I'll come find you. Rongjun, see you at the villa in half an hour. I'll pick you up. Youyou, no need, I'm leaving now. So she quickly put down her phone, walked to the bedroom, put on some light makeup, put on a white pearl miniskirt, picked out a few strands of her scattered hair and braided them into a very ladylike braid, and rushed out the door. Youyou, where are you going? Mother Lu was stunned for a moment as she rarely saw her daughter dressed up. This child, when I asked her about her engagement this morning, she said she needed to think about it. Why are you in such a hurry to go out now? Mom, I'm going to get some fresh air. Youyou waved to her mother, then rushed out of the house. Mother Lu, why does it take so long to dress up? It's true that girls are no longer under the control of their mothers. I'm so worried. On the other hand, everyone in the company saw that their Master Rong was distracted during the meeting. Master Rong, I am distracted. That was the glorious god who never gave up his work even though he was ill for more than 10 years. They saw that Rongshan actually turned on his phone and replied to a message in front of them, and the expression on his face seemed to become much more relaxed and gentle. Mr. Rong, do you think there is anything else that needs to be changed in this plan? Seeing that Rong Jun didn't speak for a long time, the head of the planning department asked under pressure. Rong Jun coughed twice. If you look carefully, you can see that the roots of Rong Jun's ears are slightly red. He just waved his hand at everyone and said softly, let's stop here today. The plan will proceed as normal. Yes. Everyone was overjoyed. Not only has Mr. Rong's mental state improved recently, but his temper has also improved. Just as everyone stood up and prepared to leave, they saw their Master Rong taking the lead and walking out of the meeting room with a pair of everyone. It's hard to imagine that Mr. Rong can be so proactive about finishing his work. 14 looked at his master who rushed out of the conference room with a bewildered look on his face, and hurriedly chased after him. Master Rong, where are we going? Rong Jun walked with a steady breath and a kind of beautiful light in his eyes, drive to the villa. Half an hour later, Youyou walked to the door of the small villa. She walked back and forth several times, but still felt that her decision was a bit abrupt. She took out her cell phone. Are you sure what you said is reliable? My friend is going to try it. Oh my god. Are you really going to have a partner? I said it wasn't me, it was my friend. Youyou turned off her phone dejectedly. At this time, Rong Jun, who came from the company, happened to see Youyou wandering at the door. He straightened his clothes, walked forward, and coughed lightly as if inadvertently. Youyou turned her head with a look of horror. You're here. Rong Jun was stunned. How did he scare her? Youyou turned her head and took 2 deep breaths, then turned back and looked at Rong Jun seriously. Rong Jun, I want to ask you a question. A friend of mine said that if you're not sure whether you like someone, you can kiss them. If you don't feel disgusted after the kiss, then you like them. Do you think it's reliable? There was light in the girl's eyes and a smile on her lips. Rong Jun stood there in a daze for a moment. Chapter 28. Do you like it, Youyou? The street lights were on, and the dim light shone on the girl's face, adding a bit of warmth and tranquility. Rong Jun's gaze fell directly on Youyou, then he slowly looked up, staying on her lips for a few seconds. His eyes couldn't help but become a little deeper. I think we can give it a try. His tone was as cold as usual, but it was a little hoarse. The next second, Rong Jun felt his vision suddenly darken, and then, he suddenly felt a soft touch on his lips. The girl's lips were soft, and the moment he got close to her, the scent of milk on her body seemed to blend with the scent on his body, giving him an unprecedented sense of comfort and relaxation. Until Youyou retreated to a safe distance again, Rong Jun still stood there stiffly, his Adam's apple moving slightly, and his body inexplicably felt a little hot. You said you needed my cooperation in your experiment. Is this what you meant? His voice was hoarse and low. He just looked at Youyou with an extremely aggressive look. Well, sort of. Youyou was thinking about the feeling just now. The moment she heard him speak, her professional qualities as a doctor suddenly awakened her. Your cough is getting worse again. Have you taken medicine? Rong Jun was silent for a while and shook his head. He was afraid that he would not be able to resist and hold the girl in his arms. The two were silent for a while, and a cool breeze blew by. Rong Jun pointed at the door. Do you want to go in first? No. Youyou answered decisively. She took a few steps back and said, I'll go back first. Thank you. Just as she was about to walk back, Rong Jun pulled her into his arms. The next second, a cold and aggressive kiss covered her lips. Different from the brief taste just now, Youyou felt as if she tasted a faint scent of medicine. She was like a thirsty patient, forced but actively looking for water. When Rong Jun let her go, she was panting and felt her face flushed. Youyou, now you've finished the test, do you still like it? Rong Jun's voice was gentle and hoarse. Youyou's face flushed, and her voice contained a bit of unspeakable weirdness. I don't know if I like it or not. Rong Jun grabbed her shoulders, his eyes deepened, and he asked seductively, then let's try kissing again. Youyou shook her head, no, no. Rong Jun, then let's kiss again another day. Youyou, okay. Youyou. I regretted it as soon as I said it. I have never been so speechless in my life. What the hell is this saying we'll kiss again some other time? She had clearly lived in dozens of worlds, but at this moment, she seemed like a 10-year-old child falling in love for the first time. After hearing this, Rong Jun laughed. He himself is a man with extremely cold emotions, but since Youyou appeared, he often smiles. But this was the first time in his life that he laughed out loud. Even Youyou was stunned and looked up in confusion. What are you laughing at? Rong Jun touched her head and said, Youyou, can we have a romantic relationship? I'm not in good health and won't live for many years. Let's just talk about the year I die, okay? Youyou quickly stood on tiptoe and covered his mouth. With a world-famous doctor like me, you won't die young. Rong Jun nodded, and probably because he had been outside for too long, he coughed twice, then cleared his throat and said, okay, I'll listen to you. What I just said was too crude. Let me say it again. Since I was born, I have been the eldest son of the Rong family, who has no worries about food and clothing. I have endless money and a family that loves me. When I was 4 years old, I fell seriously ill. I finally came back from the brink of death, but the doctor issued a death notice, saying that I would not live past the age of 23. When I was 8 years old, both my parents passed away, leaving only my grandfather with white hair. I often feel that as long as I can see my grandfather off to the end, I may have nothing to worry about in this world. This year is the 23rd year of my life. The sleeping pills prescribed by the doctor have completely lost their effectiveness. I have been unable to sleep all night long. But one day, I met a little girl at the airport. She knocked down my guard and got into my car. She smelled so good, and for some reason I wanted to take her home. Later, I discovered that this little girl might be the lucky star that I had earned after living a lonely life for 23 years. Unlike those who came for the Rong family, she only cared about me and wanted to do her best to cure my illness. I can sleep peacefully with her around. The doctor said I was suffering from a mental illness because no one could calm my brain, so I couldn't sleep. I think the reason why this little girl can make me fall asleep is probably not because of her smell or her medical skills. It's just because she is her. I fell in love with her the first time I saw her, so she became my medicine. This is my story of love at first sight. It was the first time that Rong Jun spoke so many words, and what he said was affectionate and detailed. He looked at Lu Youyou motionlessly without dodging. Lu Youyou was about to say something, but he blocked her mouth with his fingers. His fingertips were slightly cold, and he was just touching her lips, but for some reason she felt her face blushing and her heart beating fast. A cool breeze blew by. Although it was summer, Lu Youyou, who was wearing a skirt, couldn't help but shiver. Rong Jun lowered his eyes slightly, took off the coat he always wore, and put it on her. My little girl, I like you, how about you? Lu Youyou blinked her eyes. She didn't expect to receive Rong Jun's affectionate confession tonight. Even though they had slept together so many times, in her eyes, she still thought that the relationship between them was just that of a doctor and a patient. After hesitating for a moment, she stood on tiptoe again and kissed him on the lips. Then he said softly, "Okay, my Mr. Rong." The two chatted for a long time, and Lu Youyou even went into the villa to eat a small cake. Until a call came into Lu Youyou's cell phone. Mother Lu was very worried about what her daughter was doing dressed up. Rong Junyu was very sensible and called Shaxi to drive her home. Mother Lu looked at her daughter, who was grinning with a worried look on her face, and tapped her forehead. "Youyou, who was the one who sent you back?" Youyou said with a chuckle, "It's Rongjuan." Mother Lu almost lost her balance. Lu Youyou looked at her Mother Lu with a sensible look on her face. "Mom, I accept the engagement." Mother Lu looked puzzled. "You talked to Rong Jun about engagement? How do you know him?" After these words were spoken, Lu Youyou suddenly remembered. She forgot to ask Rong Jun whether he knew about their engagement. But judging from his expression, he should know, right? It doesn't make sense that she knows everything but Rong Jun doesn't, right? The next morning, at the Rong family villa, Mr. Rong just got up and saw his grandson returning home. "Wan, are you back to see Grandpa?" Rong Jun said nothing, raised his head, and said firmly, "Grandpa, please cancel my engagement."